All right, we're back in session for the public hearings. Our first public hearing is P97.
Item P97 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on October 23rd, 2022.
Good afternoon. Joe Richards, County Attorney's Office. We have for adoption today an ordinance by the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners amending Chapter 114, Section 114-41 of the Pasco County Code of Ordinances, creating a minimum wake zone within the unincorporated area of Pasco County in and around the Gulf Island Lagoon, providing for applicability, providing for repealer, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing an effective date. There is one slide that shows the markers. Those crosses in various colors show where the markers will be placed. It will be labeled minimum wake slow speed zone, protect those entrance ways in and out of the lagoon and that blind corner at the top of the slide. And after public comment, we recommend you adopt the ordinance.
Okay. Thank you. Board members, any questions?
Well, looking forward to doing this in the area of the South Channel of Gulf Harbors, but it's in the works.
Okay.
But I'm fully supportive of this.
All right. Any other board member comments before I ask for public comment? Anyone from the public here to speak to the item?
I have no one signed up and no one on WebEx for this item.
Okay, I'll just say that I am with a group of people that own property around the edge. I didn't bring this forward. A resident from the association brought it forward to ask staff to go forward. I'm going to be abstaining from it, and I'll sign the proper documents that Mr. Steinstein will provide. So,
Approval.
Is there anyone online to speak to it?
anyone online?
I've already said no one online.
Okay.
All right, so I got a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a second. All in favor, say, roll call vote.
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Aye.
District 2, Commissioner Waitman.
Support. Aye.
Okay. District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Bradford.
Aye.
District 5, Chairman Mariano.
And I abstain.
Thank you.
Okay. P98.
Item P98 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on October 5th, 2022.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Item P98 is PDD 230007. It's an ordinance amending the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan, providing for a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment to the future land use map 2-15 and sheet 18 from Res 3, residential 3 dwelling units per gross acre, to Res 24, residential 24 dwelling units per gross acre, and approximately 13.36 acres of real property located on the south side of Decubulus Road, 600 feet east of the Little Road and Decubulus Road intersection, and providing for additional text amendments as necessary for internal consistency, providing for repeal or severability and an effective date. This comes to you with a recommendation of approval from the local planning agency.
Can you do the full presentation to show the property?
And, yes.
Okay.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Brian with the Long Range Planning, here to present PDD 23007, Small Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment, CPAS 2216, Decubulus and Little. This is an adoption hearing for CPAS 2216, Decubulus and Little. I will now read the ordinance into record before starting the presentation. This is an ordinance amending the Pasco. Okay, I will skip that and continue with the presentation. So the site is located in the West Market District, specifically within the Central District of the West Market District. We got the project overview is to amend future land use map 215 and sheet 18 from Res Residential 3 to Res 24. The location, approximately 13.42 acres, located near the southwest corner of the intersection of Little Road and Decubulus. The resolution is to amend Flu Map 215 and Sheet 18. There is an associated rezoning petition under RC number 7667, the Cubulus and Little NPUD. The comprehensive plan consistency, these are the following policies that are consistent with our proposed comprehensive plan amendment. In here, we got the site, a map of the site location of the proposed project.
While you're doing your presentation, if I could, because as I read this agenda item, I didn't understand, though you mentioned the MPUD, it doesn't show the borders where the MPUD is. Could you show the board to where that other piece of property is, how it connects to Little Road as well as to Cubulus?
Yes. Basically, the MPUD abuts our proposed project to the south. Here, the pointer. Abuts to the south. Also will abut to the north of the Cubulus Road. So that will be the area of the Newport Corners MPUD. And also, yeah, the proposed Cubulus MPUD is the one that is demarked there by the red square.
But the red line isn't correct, right?
The red line just shows this part of the,
Yeah.
yeah, the
So-
red line just shows
There
this.
you go.
Red line is showing the
Right, so-
comprehensive plan amendment.
So like you just did, you just had the thing going around it. Just go from the red edge of the border along the Cubulus, going to east,
Yeah.
going to the west. Yeah, the little arrow, I thought. All right, so I'll describe it, I guess. It's, if you take with it on Decubulus, if you head towards Mass Ave, it's that little square there, bring it down around the gas station, coming down over. It goes back over to Little Road, comes down to a level equal to where the red line is in the southern part of the other property. So to me, it's a very key part of this whole thing, that it's not just one spot on Decubulus, it does connect, the MPD will connect all the way out to Little Road.
That's correct. The map is showing the comprehensive plan amendment to Res 24, but the project area moves beyond the red space when we get into zoning. And it includes, this map is showing the existing flue that's highlighted in the black dotted line, and then the part, that flag-shaped parcel just to the west of the subject site is also part of the project area. That's ROR. That already has 24 dwelling units per gross acre designation on there for density. So when the MPUD comes forward, it'll include that L-shaped flag lot right there, plus what's in the black dotted lines.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I continue, we'll back up one more. We got the site location, like I already showed. We got the 16 future land use, is currently, the flue is Res 3, residential 3. The proposed future land use for the proposed project is gonna be Res 24. And current zoning is currently zone AC, AR. And come with the Board County of Commissioners to find the proposed amendment consistent with the comprehensive plan and adopt by roll call vote.
I have some comments, but I'm going to reserve them for
Okay.
after the
Jumping the applicant.
presentation.
All right, so hear from the applicant. All right, so let's hear from the applicant then, unless anyone has any questions for him? Okay.
Good morning, good afternoon, sorry, it's been a long day already. Barbara Wilhite, 6327 Grand Boulevard, Newport Richey, 34652 for the applicant. We did put together a PowerPoint because our project boundaries are different for the comp plan amendment versus our overall project, so I do want to go through that with you. I have my team here, myself, Tampa Civil Design, Jeremy Couch, Links and Associates, Steve Henry, and the owner of Charleston Community, Steve McConaughey. I did ask for additional time, so I do, of course, between chairs, I didn't hear from anybody, but I'll try to go as quickly as possible, but I did ask for extra time. Property information, here's what you were kind of looking for.
Good, Matt?
Yes, this is what you were looking for here. This here, the purple is our comp plan amendment before you today, Res 3 to Res 24. This piece here is within our project. It's, as Mr. Pito said, it's ROR C2 right now. You can see the difference in acreage. The total acreage is the 17.99, and the CPA is the 13.36. In context, this shows where you're at in relation to both the Cubulus and Little Roads, as well as what's surrounding us, which is Newport Corners. This is our ultimate project summary for our MPUD. 384 multifamily residential units, 1,000 square feet of commercial, 3 access points, including the county's Vision Road that the county wants extended, Platte Road extension up through the middle of our project. This shows you our context again to Newport Corners and the connection I was just mentioning. This is Platte Road extension right here. Comes from Platte Road, across Little, up this way, and then comes up through our project. It gives us direct access to all of the great things that they're going to develop down here. We continue that Vision Road up with a 12-foot multi-use path. So we have very good connectivity. And just a little bit more of an example of what's going on with
Well,
that Vision
that's
Road.
fancy. I don't think I've ever seen you do that.
So
Whoops,
some
we
folks
knocked
in my
everything.
team did my PowerPoint for me. I don't know how to do that. It's very basic. Here's our site. Other than we know where Vision Road is, we're still working on that site, and we're meeting with the different commissioners and talking about, as we go into the zoning and refine our plans, talking about exactly what we do where. But this, I want to make sure you could see how the Vision Road is being accommodated. We are part of the Harbors, your redevelopment infill plan. This is an interesting parcel for me. It's 5 parcels that have been brought together to be redeveloped. If you read what you're supposed to do in your redevelopment infill plan, this is exactly what you're supposed to do. One is assemble parcels, and so that's what we've done. I put in there planning matters. You'll see that you did this in 2013, and investment is following that plan. What we didn't do is we never implemented that plan. So I have to stand up here and go property by property to change the land use. And I know sometimes that's not the best way to do it, but that's what we have to do, because you had a plan that says, here, we want you to develop this way, and I bring something forward to develop that way, but I've got to come and bring a comprehensive plan amendment. This is your central district. You can see the vision for that. We meet that vision and exceed it. The economic impact will have a minimum income requirement for Class A apartments, and the total of the applicant's gross monthly income must be at least 3 times of the monthly rent, approximately $67,000 per year minimum for household. But this is really interesting when you look at what happens when you bring together people with these kinds of incomes to live here. You bring in $37 million of income in that complex that they then spend on the weekends and so forth. Why is redevelopment and infill important? We'll be paying impact fees and mobility fees of $3.2 million. Right now, the taxes on the property between all 5 parcels is generating $4,617. When we develop it just for the residential portion, we're going to generate $788,000. In 10 years, that's $7.8 million going to your ad valorem taxation versus if you kept it as is, $46,000. So you really can see the benefit of picking a place and a location and maximizing the land where you already have your investment, where you already have your infrastructure. This just goes through the taxes and the fees, calculates it. Kind of unique infrastructure. Redevelopment follows your existing infrastructure. That's the whole idea of doing redevelopment, and that's why you invest in it. That's why you incentivize it. This property is served by 2 bus routes and 3 bus stops. Pretty unusual. You can go all over West Pasco just from the front door of this project. And Commissioner Starkey will love that this project is located on the Massachusetts Avenue Trail. Out the front door of our project will be the trail. You can take that trail, and I'll show you in a minute where you can take that trail, because I have a map of it. Decubulus Road is in the process of being widened, so it's already an area where you already decided, not anything to do with our project, that you wanted to invest in widening that road. So again, our investment's following your investment. We will be a part of that, not only paying our mobility fees, but we also are a significant property of 3 parcels along Decubulus where we're going to convey the right-of-way, donate it, so you don't have to go after condemnation after those 3 property owners. These are the bus stops for those 2 bus routes. And this is pretty neat. So you can take this trail out the front door along Massachusetts, Decubulus, excuse me, along Decubulus, go south on Starkey, and this is within Starkey Wilderness Park. You can take this all the way to Suncoast Parkway, or you can keep traveling along here, stopping by Starkey Market, and going south across
Rivalry.
54, going south across 54, and this eventually gets into Hillsborough County. So a pretty significant trail system that, again, investment that you all have made that we get to follow. West Market area, this is the vision, not too exciting there. We do match with the vision. Staff went over that already. And again, urban concentration area, you have a lot of policies in your comp plan that direct and say how you want growth to occur. And that's what we've done. We brought forth the project that does exactly what your plan asks and suggests we do. And with that, I will have any questions, and I have my team here. I'm not sure if we have anybody from the public, so nobody's contacted me from the public. And no, I don't think anybody's contacted staff, so we have no visibility as to whether you have anybody here to speak. So we put together the best presentation we could do so we could show you the project.
Okay. Before I hear from the public, any questions for Barbara?
Well, I do have some comments.
Okay.
So I did meet with the applicant yesterday, and this is right across from an employment center. But, and I know it's the comp plan, not the site plan, but I did express my desire to the developer and the engineer that, in my opinion, the design of this neighborhood should not look like that. It needs to fit in with the mixed-use, walkable village concept that is coming in Newport Corner. So they seemed very amenable to work with our planning staff to align that project to fit in like with what's coming in Newport Corner. So, and Barbara, that trail map, if you could put that back up. Let's see here. It's coming. Okay, so that trail, that Decubulus trail, actually is going to continue on Decubulus. You should be able to enter the park from that area where if you're driving on Decubulus east, you see a gate.
Oh.
But that trail is going to continue on to Decubulus and connect with the Ridge Road Trail. So there's lots of opportunity for people to be able to get to work or to go to work from that area without having to have a car or access the road. So.
Pretty uniquely located, I would agree.
Also, talk to them about maybe beefing up the commercial and having more commercial and retail if they do the land plan a little differently. So, but this is just the comp plan.
Yes, you'll see that our site plan just has blocks on it. That's because we scratched that.
Yeah.
And they want to taken some of the comments that we met with the commissioners and some of their ideas. We scratched where things are going to be. We're going to go back to work on that. But today's the comp plan, so today's really not about that anyhow. So we will bring back and meet with all of you on some of the things that we propose to actually do to the plan. But would appreciate your support today to get the comp plan portion done, and then we'll keep moving on.
Okay. And I did meet with the applicant this morning and just right before this meeting here, trying to get more information on it. I'm glad the property does connect both ways. I'm glad it's only part of the whole process that's coming forward. And I, like you, Commissioner Starkey, wanted to see some more commercial, maybe make it more mudroom. I actually envisioned at UCF campus where they actually have the residences across the street from the main campus where they have all retail down below. Above it, they have the apartments above. This would be, I think, an ideal parcel to go take advantage of that. I'm glad they're donating the right-of-way, the trail connection, I think, is huge for it. So I'm happy to see they're doing, what I want to make sure, though, is that by approving the comp plan amendment, we don't limit them to what commercial could be added, because right now, at 10,000 square feet, I don't think it's sufficient. Now that I know there's more coming later on, we'll look at the MPD, we'll study it to put it all together, but I hate to just restrict you on this parcel if we need that commercial to go on that parcel.
Yeah, no, the staff was in the meeting we had a meeting yesterday, and this came up. The ROR land use has a 0.6 FAR, so it allows 0.6 floor area ratio, and that's about 4 acres, and so that generates quite a bit of commercial ability. We've also talked with our transportation engineer. We probably have to change our report a little bit, but he's like, no, we can add without having to redo all of the transportation analysis. So we're looking like we're in good shape of being able to do some more.
So potentially, we could possibly get a Trader Joe's in there?
Yes.
All right, I'll be happy to send a letter in support of that.
And if you heard this morning, we need some nice restaurants, please. Barbara and I keep working on that.
There you go, P.F. Changa working there. And tell you, at UCF, the campus that they have there, everything in that lower retail is all nice places where the students,
Yeah.
and by the way, PhD right down the street, would love to go, and just, that would actually even save trips for us
Yep,
on the roadway.
that's where we're
Okay.
headed.
Working at it, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Barbara?
No, just that I've met with the applicant also and felt good about the project, so I think it's
All right.
good.
All right, anyone else? Okay, let's take public comment.
We do have one
Approve?
person that signed up. I already did proof.
Yep, okay.
Okay. Ann Corona?
You can bend the mic this part down.
Just a
too.
little, the
Yeah.
very end.
Oh, I think I'm good. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Okay. I'm not sworn, that's okay, right? Okay.
That is correct.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ann Corona, 7615 Tanglewood Drive, Newport Richey, Newport Richey, Florida, 34654. Okay, so we've all been here before. Here we are again with the spot zoning. This project will cram 1,600 residents into an area 3 times the size of my property. This is once again spot zoning, which was applied to Tanglewood East Complex, and is the process of singling out a parcel of land for use totally different from that of the surrounding area for the benefit of the owner of such property. It's arbitrary, capricious, and unreasonable. The residents of Tanglewood and Cumulus Road area chose to live there due to the land characteristics, wildlife, clean air, lifestyle in general. It is evident that if one purchases land in an area zoned Res 3, Pasco County government has demonstrated that at any time by spot zoning, you could find yourself in the midst of Res 24, an 800% jump in density. There is no demonstration of need for this type of density in the area, and the project does not meet the rural standards designated. There would be high-rise apartment buildings at both ends of Tanglewood Drive, undoubtedly, unquestionably affecting property values. After the developers are finished trying to put lipstick on a pig, and the complex is fully occupied, in a few years, it will be just another old apartment building. I keep on asking myself why Tanglewood area is consistently in the crosshairs of development. Why not other areas with more open land? I didn't do much with traffic. I was supposed to have someone here with me, and she's not here. The traffic on Cumulus and Tanglewood is ridiculous. It's dangerous. Since the Ridge Road extension opened, it's next to impossible to make a left turn from Tanglewood Drive onto Cumulus during peak traffic. Adding another 1,600 residents, 800 cars, half a mile from that intersection will be disastrous. As usual, the Links and Associates, I feel traffic assessments was flawed and skewed. Let's see, access onto Little and Cumulus, laughable. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you can't even get out of the gas station. One of the most significant issues in my mind is the effect, of course, this would have on wildlife, again. And always, there's safety issues with excessive demands on law enforcement. Lastly, there was no sign noticing the planning meeting in October. I drive constantly there. Trust me, Res 3 to Res 24 is the atom bomb, the Hiroshima of development. I would have noticed that, and I would have called 2 commissioners and assorted elected officials. Nobody knew about this meeting. As you can see, I'm probably the only one speaking about it. I think this really should have gone back to planning to be reheard when properly noticed. I couldn't see the sign. There was a guy on a bike reading it yesterday because that's how close you have to get to look at it. I had to park from 7-Eleven and walk there to read the sign. Thank you.
Anyone else signed up?
No one else signed up. Also, no one else on WebEx.
Okay. Anyone from the public would like to speak to this item? Okay. We'll close public hearing. I'll just make a couple of comments. I did talk to Ann. She called me. I had 2 other phone calls on the property. And I'll say Tanglewood Drive is something that hopefully we can look at in the MPD process, or even just have staff look at it. As the extra lanes are going to be added onto Cubulus, there's going to be some improvements that maybe one we take a look at as well. As far as the signage, we are working on the signage issue coming out. The sign's going to be bigger and better, and I know Terry's working on that right now, coming forwards. I don't know how quick it's going to come, maybe even today. They might be on the agenda today.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. There are public notification improvements to the Land Development Code that are proposed before the board today. It's the next item on the agenda. But these do not include the actual signage that will be on the street. We are working on those currently to update the appearance, and we'll be bringing that to the board this year.
Later date, okay. All right, so I do acknowledge we need to take a look at that. I'll say that the apartment complex down the road, I didn't support that one. I thought it was, well, I'll just say I didn't support it. The reason I like this one better, this one here, and when I first read it last night, I was apprehensive about it because I didn't see the connection to Little Road. Since I got more information today, your presentation as well as what I saw earlier today, that connection makes a big difference. I've got 2 arterial roads coming around it. I like the fact that they're willing to put more commercial to it to create something like that UCF campus where you could have the commercial down below, the residential above. Those connections are a lot better and won't impact the neighborhoods down the road nearly as much, but I think it'll support even the VA hospital from down the street. So you might wonder why I would think this way. I'm just trying to let the board know. I looked at the other one a lot differently than this one here. This one here, to me, fits if they're willing to take the extra commercial, and in my meeting today, they showed a strong willingness to go do that, even to get a Trader Joe's or a P.F. Chang or some other high-end restaurants, which I think could fit there. I think it's a great opportunity for us.
Yeah, and I want to say, the property to the right of this property is coming in, I didn't know this, but it's coming in for residential or single-family. And
Townhomes.
right?
And townhomes.
Oh, townhomes,
Both,
okay.
both, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of, I think there's enough multifamily in that area, that I hope we don't see a lot more multifamily coming in, people trying to come in that area. But this is directly across from a large employment center. And also, it will have easy access to the government center, and then up to the Haley and having the Haley's, or whatever it's called, the VA Center. I don't know, does it have a name yet? Interesting. I am sure because of the location of that big complex, we are going to see more businesses want to come in and be near that. And so this will help house those people. So thank you.
Any other comments from the board? Okay. You want to close?
Sure.
Very good.
I did want to say on the signage, I take public notice very seriously. The code did not require me to send out letters to everybody within 500 feet. The code did not require me to post a sign, but I did both of those things. I knew the code was changing, and I knew that that would be the expectation of this board and the planning commission, that's how I noticed it, and that's how I noticed it. The change didn't happen until it's going to happen if you adopt the amendments they're going to present to you in a few moments. So we did notice it. We did follow all the requirements, exceeded the requirements, and do support your changes to the code. Notice is very important. I would love to sit down with Ann and go through comp planning and tell her why Tanglewood and why this area. The county put in plans in place in 2006, 2008, 2009, 2013 that said, this is where we want development. This is where we want redevelopment. This is where we want infill. The only thing the county never did was change the land use to implement the plan. And so we have to come one by one, and then we cause confusion. Because we see Res 3 to Res 24. Well, it's not really Res 3. It's Res 3 with 2 overlays that say it should be much more dense. And so that's hopefully we can do a better job when we update the comp plan to try to fix those things globally, so we're not standing here causing confusion and causing angst, and that it's clear. To me, it's clear what your vision is, because I look at your West Market area and your Central Market District of your infill plan, and I look at those things and I can see what your vision is. But if somebody's looking at the land use map, they're like, well, why are you going from 3 to 24? But that's the answer. It's not rural. There's no rural area anywhere near this. In 2006, just for the new commissioners, in 2006, the county purposely put into their comp plan what was going to be rural and what was not. And so a lot of people will come and tell you that I'm in a rural area, but they're not.
Right.
So with that, we look forward to the rest of this project and to working with you, and we hope you'll support our comp plan amendment. Thank you.
Okay.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Roll call.
Sorry.
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Aye.
District 2, Commissioner Waitman.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Bradford.
Aye.
District 5, Chairman Mariano.
Aye. Okay, P99, do we have proof?
Yes. P99 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on October 5th, 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item P99 is an ordinance by the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners amending the Pasco County Land Development Code, Chapter 300 Procedures, Section 304 Public Notice Procedures, Chapter 400 Permit Types and Applications, Section 402.2 Zoning Amendment, Master Plan Unit Development District, Section 403.3 Preliminary Site Plans, Section 403.4 Stormwater Management Plan and Report, Section 403.5 Construction Plans, Section 403.7 Mass Grading, Section 403.9 Modifications to Development Approval, Section 403.10 Landscape Plan, Chapter 500 Zoning, Section 503 AC Agricultural District, Section 504 AC1 Agricultural District, Section 505 AR Agricultural Residential District, Section 506 AR1 Agricultural Residential District, Section 507 AR5 Agricultural Residential District, Section 508 AR5 MH Agricultural Mobile Home District, Section 509 ER Estate Residential District, Section 510 ER2 Estate Residential District, Section 512 R1MH Single Family Mobile Home District, Section 513 R2MH Rural Density Mobile Home District, Section 514 R1 Rural Density Residential District, Section 515 R2 Low Density Residential District, Section 516 R3 Medium Density Residential District, Section 517 R4 High Density Residential District, Section 518 MF1 Multiple Family Medium Density District, Section 519 MF2 Multiple Family High Density District, Section 520 MF3 Multiple Family High Density District, Section 522 MPUD Master Plan Unit Development District, Section 525 Neighborhood Commercial District, Chapter 800 Natural and Cultural Resource Protection, Section 802 Tree Preservation and Replacement, Section 805 Wetlands, Chapter 900 Development Standards, Section 901.5 Transportation Impact Study, Section 905.2 Landscaping and Buffering, Chapter 1000 Miscellaneous Structure Regulations, Section 1003 Gates, Fences, and Walls, Chapter 1200 Nonconformities, Section 1203.2 Restorations, Section 1203.4 Nonconforming Signs, Chapter 1300 Concurrency and Impact Fees, Section 1301 Concurrency, Appendix A Definitions, and other sections as necessary for internal consistency, providing for applicability, repealer, providing for severability, inclusion into the Land Development Code, and an effective date. There was an update to the body of the proposed ordinance in Section 3 under applicability and effect on existing development approvals. The revision has been submitted to the clerk and I believe distributed to the board. But it's a simple sentence that was added that would say, notwithstanding the foregoing, nothing herein shall affect the validity of notice provided prior to the effective date of this ordinance. So there are public hearings that have been scheduled, such as this coming Thursday, that have noticed their projects according to the existing notification standards, not necessarily according to what's in the proposed ordinance.
Okay. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I had a question. On the new language for fences, that's in here, right? The chain link fences that we're getting. So I saw in here, I'm kind of looking for it, but I got sucked into the landscaping part. Somewhere in here, it talks about the fences. And I thought, okay, here, in Chapter 1000, Section 1003.1, It says chain link aluminum or similar fences and gates visible from collector arterial roads are prohibited. Now, I thought we fixed that to say you could have decorative aluminum. So I just wanted to make sure that we're not messing up there. And we showed examples of those fences that are with those vertical bars. So that's,
That's my understanding that the fence language was looked at post LPA discussions, and that it was upgraded to reflect the desires of the
well, I
board.
thought it was too, but, and I can't click on anything here, I don't know what's going on, but when I read it, and I see that it still says the aluminum. So just want to, is it fixed? I guess that's my big question.
It is the intent to have been fixed.
Yeah.
Yes, the system right now is not responding for some reason.
So that's question one. And then number two is that if we're going to have some fence rules, we need to be sure that we're catching these and have the ability to enforce it. So I believe that we need, unless Brad, who's in central permitting, I think that's your
Current
department.
planning.
Current planning, okay, sorry, I'm wrong. I just want to make sure that if someone comes in with a commercial building, that if we don't have a fence permit, and I'm just talking commercial fence permit here, how will they know what the rules are?
Yes, we're going to look at that. This is one of the things that we found when we were looking at this. It seems like a very simple concept, but it's actually kind of difficult to put into words with restricting certain things and not others. So it's very easy with this. We do have the alternative standards. If you're meeting the intent of the code, we understand what that intent is of the board. So that if someone comes in, we can look at that. And if they do have an aluminum fence that does meet the intent, we can go ahead and approve that. And if they're coming in with something that's aluminum but not meeting the intent of the code, we can also deny that. So it gives us that flexibility. So that's one of the reasons it's written this way.
But what if they don't have to come in? I mean, does everyone have to tell you what fence they're putting in
As part of the buffering,
of any part of their development, construction? I think you were about to say something.
Well, I was going to ask why a metal would be prohibited versus a type.
Well, yeah.
I mean, if the idea is to prohibit chain link or similar fences, you may just want to get rid of the term aluminum, because I'm not sure what it does for you there, but I was not involved in the discussions.
we can certainly do that. We can make that change
Okay.
here as part of this, or we can pull that piece out and bring that piece back, whichever
Let-
way you prefer.
And we need to add barbed wire.
Let me caution as far as picking a metal, because you could have a painted black aluminum fencing that looks really good compared to a chain link fence, which you may not like. You may like a colored black chain link fence, which,
Not on these kind of roads. You want those on, or in the back, but not facing. So, I agree with you. All you have to do is say chain link.
Yes, so if I may, Mr. Chairman, in the agenda memo, it notes
Oh, no,
that,
but you don't want,
Well,
you don't want hog wire.
I just
And
got
there's
a
some kind of-
note from staff member that said that the language was supposed to be chain link welded wire or similar fences,
Yes.
not
Yeah,
aluminum.
exactly. That's the right
yes,
word.
in the agenda memo, it notes the word welded wire has been added as a similar fence to a chain link fence. In terms of the LPA discussion that occurred, the LPA requested that the aluminum material be removed from the prohibition and to instead include a style of fence as opposed to a fence material. So that's the intent. And they asked for comments on the matter in terms of security from the sheriff's office. But the sheriff's office, the decision on whether or not to prohibit them is a policy decision for the BCC,
And,
what their answer was.
right, and I talked to the sheriff, and he's fine with the aluminum. Actually, that's harder to climb, those vertical aluminum bars. than chain link. Chain link is 1 foot and boom, you're over. So he was fine with it, yeah.
So that's, if the board is adopting this ordinance, that section should read chain link, comma, welded wire or similar fences and gates visible from collector or arterial roadways on the highway vision plan and functional classification map shall be prohibited.
Okay, that was,
If that can be part of somebody's, the motion.
okay, that will be part of my motion, but it's a public hearing.
All right. Any other questions or any more presentation, Terry?
Presentation was made at the previous public hearing, so this is the adoption hearing.
Okay. I mean, 2 new commissioners in case they want to see any more. We good?
I'm good.
Okay. All right, let me call for public comment. Anywhere, anyone on the list?
No one signed up on the list, and no one is on WebEx.
Okay.
No one move for approval?
Hang on one second.
Oh.
Anyone in the audience here to comment on this? Okay, seeing no one?
Mr.
Oh.
Chairman, if I can ask Mr. Goldstein,
We-
did the agricultural language get into these changes?
Wait, I'm not sure my question got answered, though. Who is in charge of making sure? I don't want someone to come in, put a chain link fence, and then have code come out and tell them, oh, you're not allowed to do that. I want to make sure they know ahead of time, because that's just a nightmare for our citizens. So how will, if we don't have a fence permit, commercial fence permit requirement, how will people know what's required, what's allowed and what's not allowed? And therefore, do we need a commercial fence permit process?
Mr. Chairman, I think the answer to the commissioner's question is that we don't have currently a commercial fence permitting
Yep.
process, and that we would have to take a look at and figure out how to regulate that and implement it.
We need to do that, because we don't want people putting it in and then be told they have to take it out.
I don't think, do we want to pass this ordinance before we put that in place?
You're already
Right, that's what I thought.
allowing,
Yeah.
you're already allowing fences to go in every day without a permitting process, so
We'll change it
I
anyway.
think I think you change your ordinance to what you want it to be and have the permitting process catch up with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty easy thing.
Well, okay, but what about the effective date? Do you want to make the effective date once you have it set up?
No, because I think there's a lot of things in here that are important. Just bring that back to us as soon as you can. And in the meantime, you need to have some kind of internal plan.
All right. Terry, how long do you think it would take to bring it back? I mean, not bring it back, but get it in place.
I don't think I'd be able to answer that, because the commercial fence permit would be within the Building Construction Services Department, if I'm not mistaken. It wouldn't necessarily be in the Planning and Development Department.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Sally Sherman, Assistant County Administrator of Development Services. If the board desires to go on and incorporate as a part of this ordinance that all commercial projects that have fences will be required to obtain a permit, I would say go on and incorporate it, and what we can then do is, if you would allow us an opportunity to educate, then we can do that and move forward and work with our commercial developers and development community to ensure that permits are received. We'll do informational pieces and get it out as quickly as possible.
Great.
Maybe we don't even need a permit for this. I think on one of the MPUDs I saw that came in, it had a comment, when comments were fed back, once the application was put in, the comments were put in that you're going to follow our code where you don't put in certain things. It was like, this one was vegetative. But maybe we just could add comments in, instead of having any more permitting, just to say, when you do this fence, you cannot do a, chain link or welded wire fence.
But keep in mind, you have permits, you have projects that are already existing,
Right.
that they go in and install fences
Yeah.
just for security purposes, that they don't even have to come in our office
That's my
to discuss.
That's my concern.
Mhm.
So I do think we're going to need some kind of process, but I like your suggestion to get it started.
Okay.
So I would incorporate, did you want to say something, Terry?
Not on that, so.
Okay, so I would incorporate that in my motion to approve. But did we take public comment?
Second. There's no public comment.
Can we restate the motion, please?
Well, it's,
Before we go, Terry might want to say one more thing.
Yes, I'm sorry. Just to go back to the question as, to update the language regarding the fence material that we were having, the discussion that we were having, in the proposed ordinance before you, the language is correct and updated. It reads chain link, welded wire, or similar fences and gates visible from collector,
Perfect.
et cetera. So
That's
that what's in the ordinance, the proposed ordinance, is updated. The red line version apparently had the old language in.
Okay. All right, so we're good then.
okay, so I don't need to change that,
Right.
but I would add Sally's comments, which I'm not going to repeat.
So you want to direct us to bring back?
Sally's comments, though, however, cannot be,
Part
they
of
they don't fit into the ordinance. They're more along the lines of direction to staff.
Okay, well, staff has that direction, and I approve, then I move to pass, what number are we on?
Adopt.
Adopt. Sorry, I don't know what number.
99?
This one.
And I second.
Okay.
99.
Where she finished.
99.
Okay, it's a roll,
P99.
it's a roll call vote?
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Aye.
District 2, Commissioner Waitman.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Bradford.
Aye.
District 5, Chairman Mariano.
Aye. Okay, P100, do we have proof?
Yes, we do, Mr. Chair. We have proof. It was published in the Tampa Bay Times on November 23rd, 2022.
Good afternoon, Justin Grant, Public Infrastructure, Fiscal, and Business Administration Director. P100 is item PIFBA 23-0081. That is an ordinance creating the local road paving municipal service taxing unit, providing for boundaries, providing for levy of an ad valorem tax, providing for municipal services to be funded, providing for severability, and an effective date. All right, so at the start of this fiscal year in October, we entered Phase 1 of a 4-step process to establish an MSTU that is intended to replace the PVAS current system that's in place for PVAS. So back on October 25th, the board chose to direct staff to establish an MSTU as that vehicle to replace that. We have taken that direction, and our next step here today is on the 6th, and that is to present those findings, establish the benefit area, basically the who is in and who is out via ordinance. And so that is what's before you today. In addition to that direction, we are also requesting a pause for paving assessment projects that are in a certain phase, and we'll get to that phase here a little bit later in the presentation. The next thing will be what we'll call the most complex and numbers-intensive part of the presentation. That will happen in the spring. That's when the board will get to determine things like how we phase out PVAS, how we deal with folks that are currently in PVAS, and deal with things like rates and those type of things. Today is to adopt the ordinance and determine benefiting area. And then finally, in summer of 2023, this is where this process starts to merge with next year's budget process, which is the intention. And so that'll enter that in, and you'll go in, and this will adopt through the budget process. Question, Commissioner?
It's like a blinking Christmas tree up here.
Yeah.
It's going on and off and on and off.
Would you like me to pause?
I'm gonna like jump right into commissioner items, and we gotta fix this. It's just on, off, on, off. No, don't pause.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
But if we, sorry, it's just kind of frustrating.
All right, so MSTU boundaries. The ordinance contains 3 basic descriptions for what is in and what is out. So parcels exclusively served by private roads, whether they're maintained by an HOA or individuals. These are the excluding areas, by the way. Those are out. Parcels within a CDD that provide maintenance to local roads within the district, as well as parcels that are served by local roads that are currently privately maintained. So in essence, this is a map of some of those areas, and so this is a basic pictorial of the 6 municipalities that are excluded. Those are highlighted there in the darkest color in black there. And then there are 29 CDDs currently that have been posted with the ordinance that have been identified through their establishing documents that they have responsibility for those roads via their approval when they entered the process. Those are excluded. And then the remainder of the 69 CDDs that are not a part of the municipalities and are part of the unincorporated area in the county, those are highlighted in blue, and those are included currently. So this ordinance covers a number of different things and establishes that that vehicle for us to handle paving structure and handles local road paving, repaving, also contemplates maintenance and improvements of related facilities, and other things like when we need to do road-related drainage that is not currently contemplated within the PVAS ordinance. If this gets adopted, this has to be adopted here before the end of the calendar year by state statute, which is why we're here today. This could be implemented if we follow those other two steps in the process as early as November of 2023, which would be next tax year. So I mentioned a little bit earlier, the second measure that we're asking for approval on this item is the pause of PVASs at a current phase. And so you see our stoplights there. We have 4 different phases of things that are in the hopper, as we would call it, in PVAS, right? An out to petition, a pending BCC approval phase, the pending construction with an NTP not yet issued, and then we have the pending construction with an NTP that has already been issued. As a part of this measure, we're requesting, you see those red lights, right? Things that have not entered the green light area, right, which is that last piece that we have not issued an NTP to construction. We're requesting a pause on that part of the PVAS process. So finally, this is to accept public comment and adopt the proposed ordinance and pause all pending and future paving projects that are that have not yet been issued an NTP for construction.
You want to go first?
I can go first.
Commissioner Oakland.
The problem I have with it is the fact that a lot of these homes or a lot of these people that are looking for their parcels, PVAS programs to pave their road, and they've gone through all the processes. Will that continue to go through, or is that a red line?
So here, I'll go back to this slide. So the intention here is when we come back in the spring, there's a number of different things, and we've talked about through this process. There's so many different factors that have to be considered as we talk about not only implementing an MSTU and how we're going to apportion all those benefits and establish how we're going to pave roads, but also how we phase out PVAS and handle things that have already completed PVAS as well as those that are in each step of this process. And so the request here from staff is because we need significant time and resources to be able to design everything, work through all the legal elements that are required to establish the MSTU, is a pause, right? The board will have an option to evaluate all these different options on what they can do in the spring. And so we're just saying, hey, if we haven't already issued an NTP for construction for something that the board has already approved, right? Because on step 3, if the pending construction NTP not issued, those are items that have already passed petition, have already been presented to the board has approved it and blessed it and said, go forth.
So how long are we holding them off from paving?
So the pause is requested till the spring, right? And then when we come back in the spring, we would look at
6
evaluating
months?
all the different things. Well, we're looking probably somewhere in the March to April timeframe on slide 2. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Commission. Bramford Adunwa, Interim Assistant County Administrator. The plan is for the PVAS projects that are being paused, okay? They will be continued under the new MSTU, and they'll be given top priority so we can start them and get them done.
I understand that, but the concern comes when you got people that have been in this process, been called out of it because their stormwater issue came up and they had to redesign and then go back. They've been on hold for maybe 2 years.
So, yes. So what is happening is once the PVAS project is approved, it takes about a year before we can start the project. Okay, so even if it's approved now, we can't start a project.
Yeah.
The MSTU should be taking about a year before we can implement it. So it's the same thing. You know, what we don't want to do is
So we had the one down on Kyle Road there in Zephyr Hills.
Yes.
As an example.
Yes.
They were all approved, ready to go, and then one neighbor brought up the fact that they had to address stormwater. So you pulled it off the table, which had already been waiting a year and a half.
Yes.
Go back in and redesign for stormwater.
Yes.
Wait another year.
Yes.
And they're almost ready for it to be voted on or passed by the board.
Yes.
And yet, now we're gonna pause them for 7 or 8 months.
So we are going to start those, okay, when the new MSTU begins. Okay, what we don't want to do is to start the new
And I
program.
understand the cost, for the people, I'm for trying to help all the people that we can.
Yes, yes. So I can tell you the one that, you know, you are talking about, we are going to start those when the MSTU program begins next fiscal year. So there wouldn't be so much of a lost time. Okay?
Yeah.
The difference between that and the current PVAS is just the cost, that people are just not going to like the cost
Right.
So those projects, they'll be the first to go when the new program begins, based upon how much funds we get from the MSTU.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Okay.
no.
We'll
you
go-
done?
I'm going to carry on that too, but go ahead, Commissioner Starkey.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have, you're not giving us a date. And so I think of what these neighborhoods went through to get through this approval process, and it was a lot. And I know later today, we're voting on one of my neighborhoods, PVAS, which I cannot vote on, but there's a road, Buena Vista, that's undrivable, and to put it on pause, and I'm sorry, I think I deleted all the pictures of it. But I'm not okay with pausing, really.
So if I could be clear here, we have 5 projects that we have issued a notice to proceed on, correct?
Do we have, are those listed
Are
somewhere?
those the only 5 that we intended to do this fiscal year, or are there others in this fiscal year that we intended to do? I think that's really the question, Commissioner, because if we intended to do them in fiscal year '23, what I'm hearing is we should continue to do those projects. But as Branford pointed out, we have PVAS projects that while the board may have approved them 6 months ago, they may not get executed until fiscal year '24 for whatever reason, funding limitations, stormwater
takes time.
matters, et cetera. We're suggesting that we definitely need to pause just because we need the resources to focus on establishing the MSTU, both from the public works perspective and getting geared up. What Branford has said, however, is that these projects that have made it to that 3rd and 4th step there is that, I'm sorry, at least to that 3rd step and beyond, is that they would become a priority upon approval of the MSTU, which would be October of '23. So it's not a long wait. It's more of a strategic pause, if you will, on that.
Yes, and I would like to add, if we approve our receipt out today, we are not going to begin it until a year from now. So it's almost the same thing.
All right, I'm going to.
I think there's some people here to speak to it. I know I'm already hearing from the people on Buena Vista that they were told, apparently, I didn't see it, that they're on pause, and it's causing great heartburn. So is that the right word to use? I mean, are we really stopping, or are we just rolling them into a different program?
Well, I think the proper word would be roll over. That is what we are going to be doing, okay? Because what we don't do again is to do the PVAS now, and then at the same time we are doing the MSTU. And the people who are paying on the PVAS, they say, wow, what are we paying this amount, and others are paying that on the MSTU.
Yeah, and my understanding is, because I attended the Aristida PVAS meeting, and I've attended many others, knowing that we were talking about this change and I had an email from Thousand Oaks residents who just had their road paved, that I know it's going to be complicated, but that what I've always been told is that we're going to find a way that it's fair for everybody, and some kind of actuarial table that if you just had your road paved, you don't have to pay.
Yes, when we come back in the spring, we'll have that plan. When we come back in the spring, we'll have that transition, a credit system.
Right.
The dirt roads, we'll have all those options for discussions.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if
I think we're having, oh,
Hang
go
on
ahead.
one sec. Jeff?
So, from what I'm hearing from the team is the issue really is there anything in the pending construction notice to proceed not issued that would be constructed this fiscal year anyway?
Correct. That's my question to the team, and they're running that down right now, is to see which projects.
Because the rest of them are
Had we
just
not done, had we
numbers.
not done this MSTU, had we not be coming to you with this, what projects would have been done this fiscal year anyway? I think what I'm hearing the board say is, please don't pause those. Continue to get those done.
Well, anyone
And we
who's
can do that.
gone as far as the process, for example, as far as Aristida has gone through, had their had their group meeting here already, went through all the agonizing steps of convincing your neighbors to vote for it.
But they wouldn't be constructed anyway this
Yeah,
fiscal
in a
year.
year, we can't
That's
get it done
that's
this
the
year.
problem is.
Correct. It's
Correct.
those 19 really that we're talking about. How many of those 19 would Public Works have executed as part of their PVAS? What I'm hearing the board say is, please don't pause those. Because
Yeah.
in '23, if the MSTU passes, come '23, we either have an MSTU and we're executing them, If we do not have an MSTU, then we continue with PVAS. And we would have.
I would say just keep the construction rolling and figure out how you're paying for it over here. But
And
just
I'm
keep
gonna-
moving forward,
And
right?
I'm going to agree with that, because if this does pass and does go through, and it's going to take a lot more dialogue, those people that are going to be watching this thing are going to be directly involved for these 24 projects right off the bat anyway. I think you keep the construction going best you can with what the funding is in place, and if you can make it easier, make it easier. I think staff should save a lot of the paperwork time in the MSTU, which wouldn't happen till end of year anyway. So as far as if they focus on the construction, definitely the green light I agree with, but if you can get the next one on there, the 19 projects, put those in. If there's a way to keep the other thing moving, at least construction-wise, to get them all lined up, get them all priced out, keep that rolling too, because one way or another, we're going to figure out how it's going to get paid for.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
We
if
will
they've
keep it
taken the steps to come in and convince their neighbors to
Guess I
vote
gotta
for
speak
it
up.
and had their hearing, they're,
Okay,
they've moved forward, and we should be honoring that process.
okay. Commissioner Oakland?
I think if you look at it, our heartburn comes from the fact, and I appreciate all the staff's work and work toward getting into a better program that helps our citizens. But our heartburn comes with them going through all that process, knowing they're fixing to get the road paved, and then be held off for a year. That's our heartburn right there. I mean, if there's some way we can start those or keep those to be going, like you talked about, then I'm all for it, all for helping the citizens get these roads paved. We have a lot of roads that need work on, and that's why this pipeline gets as full as it does. But it'll be fuller once this system gets in place, so,
Okay, we hear you.
yeah. But it'll be better. I
Continue.
understand. It's just a heartburn of getting into it.
Yes, we got it.
So the word pause is gone? Okay.
Yeah, we're going to execute the FY23 PVAS plan. That's what we're
Yeah.
going to
And
do.
We
If the
certainly
money, if the
appreciate
money's, if the money is there, get the jobs done.
Yes.
And then we'll work on
Yeah.
the balance, everything else
Money's
coming
gonna
up.
drive it,
Spend
so
all your money.
We'll keep going.
End it all. We're all,
Yeah,
The
and-
best
but-
you can.
But if I could be clear, however, the first two steps, we do want to pause. We don't want to take in any more.
After today.
After today, yes, absolutely,
After
after
today.
today. We have
Yep.
things that have already been noticed, and we're going to continue with those that are here today as part of that step. But basically, we're going to turn the red light green for the pending construction not issued, provided it was in the FY23 budget, at least at this point, and it would continue down the path.
Yep. And I'll move to approve.
public comment.
Already got it?
Any more input? Commissioner Bradford?
Last night, excuse me, last night I did my own little survey walking around my neighborhood who has an HOA and
CDD.
thank you, a CDD
I'm here for him.
every day. And I asked him a simple question. Do you know who paves your road when we need to pave the road? So I'm telling you, I got, oh, the CDD pays it, or the HOA pays it. Then I went across the street and talked to the guy who's on the CDD, who's got a bunch of Christmas lights that my wife is, trying to keep up with him. And the bottom line is, don't be late on this and get it right, because it is a significant part of people's lives. They're worried about paying the mortgage, they're worried about paying the car payment. They don't know who's paving their roads. All they know, there's a hole in it, and we need to fix it. So I encourage you to stay on top of this, and with all due diligence. Thank you.
Anyone else at this point? Okay. Let me reach out for a public comment. Anybody signed up?
We do have 3 individuals signed up. I have Ken Dobbs, I think twice it was written
Ken
down.
Dabbs?
Ken Dabbs. Followed by Allison Crumley. So I counted Mr. Dabbs twice, so there's only 2 people signed up.
Okay.
I have public comment on 2 different items.
Oh.
100
Oh,
and
one is
110.
100 and one is 110. I see it. Thank you.
Hi. Ken Dabbs, 4617 Flormar Terrace, Gulf Harbors, 34652. I saw this and I'm still confused. The new website is a nightmare to navigate. Used to be able to find the item, go to the supporting documents. Now you spend hours scrolling through things, so I couldn't even find everything. I've paid for several PVAS in the past at different houses that I own. I didn't have a problem with it. We've looked at our street, we voted on it. It needed fixed. We petitioned and assessed ourselves, basically. And it worked out fine. So why are we going to an MSTU and complicating this? The only thing that's happening that I see with this MSTU is you're taking the choice away from the owners on that street and putting it in your hands. We're going to have no control over anything. I don't see that as a benefit. I just really don't.
Commissioner, I'm happy to answer. He's my neighbor.
Okay.
Um,
Why don't we let Justin,
Okay.
then you can add into it.
So succinctly, I wish I had the last presentation
Right.
that we had up on 1025. There's a slide in there, I have it here in front of me. But there are three succinct things that the current PVAS does not cover that this new system is designed to cover. One of the biggest things is continued maintenance. So right now, PVAS comes in, it paves the road, and we've long used that adage of doing maintenance on your car, changing fluids, changing the oil, keeping the upkeep, right? So long-term maintenance costs are lower, and the life of the car extends for a longer period of time. Right now, PVAS does not do that. So you have some cases where you can have roads enter a PVAS program, no maintenance is done, the road ends its useful life, right? And you have the same problem, and it boomerangs and comes back around, and those same residents could theoretically be assessed again to have the road completely repaved. The current structure also does not cover B roads and dirt roads. And so that's something that this board has expressed a lot of interest in. And so part of an MSU getting a countywide situation, a countywide taxing unit to be able to do that is what that contemplates there. So, and we've had that number come out right before when we've done our assessment.
Public dirt roads.
Yes, sir.
Versus private dirt
Yes, sir.
roads.
Yes.
Commissioner,
So, no,
Did
go
you,
ahead,
did
ma'am.
you do all three?
Yeah, the third one is just the overwhelming estimate of local road maintenance that's needed. That's a $1.2 billion problem over the next 30 years. And so those are things that the current PVAS system is not able to adequately cover.
Mr. Starkey?
So how many counties in the U.S. still do PVAS?
I don't have an exact number, but
I
not
think you
many.
said two.
We looked at,
Oh, in the
there's
state.
2 in the state, yeah.
In
I
the
don't have a
state,
national
okay.
number.
I mean, it's an archaic, inefficient process. Our staff spends a lot of time going out and assessing some of these neighborhood roads. The people have to, they get pitted against each other in neighborhoods, and then sometimes, well, many times they fail. I don't even know what the pass-fail rate is, but it's a horrific waste of your taxpayer dollars. And it is very, at times, very, very contentious. And to keep filling potholes because people don't want to pay for their road to be fixed, it's money out the window. So this is just, there's a reason why everyone does it this way, and we're just very late to coming to the table on this one. So,
You mentioned the fail rate. That's currently, that's 70% fail rate.
yeah, so it's.
And I'll add a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, when the previous board, way back when, 25 years ago, whenever it was, they needed to do something because they had to fix the road somehow. So they had a lot of people that said, I'm willing to pay, I think is how it went, and then they started that process. It was revised once to make it a little bit better, but
Yeah.
again, the issues that we still have out there, you don't take care of your citizens the way you should, and this process does take a lot of time. I mean, these presentations that have to go on, that's staff time there, they could be doing other things on getting things through the process, the recording fees that are on these whole things every step of the way. By setting this in, we've had the Road and Bridge Fund that I've voted on for 18 years. For zero every single year, and when we had the gas tax, I suggested that we actually start implementing that road and bridge fund to start doing this as well. So this is actually going to make it better for a lot of our citizens, so that the people that even done a paving assessment already once, the next time through, they can start paying now, and they know they won't get hit with another assessment later on. And Commissioner Wilkes, you and I struggle with a lot of different roads, dirt roads, we still can't find a way to get it done where, you know, if someone's living on a dirt road, they're generally not going to be as well off. It's going to be harder for them to get into the mix, to ever get it approved, and they just sit, and when you got police and fire that need to go out there, post office people need to deliver, you can't take care of them. This is going to give us, in a way, they're going to pay extra for it, but it gives us a way to get it done for all our people. Instead of going one public hearing after another public hearing, we can make the decision as your elected body to figure out which ones need to get done and how do we move them forward. And again, so that'll be the step.
Go back in history, the reason PVAS even started was back in the 50s and 60s. The growth was all in Newport Richey. All the roads were being built over here and everything. Your citrus growers and all were to the east side of the county, and they didn't want to be assessed on their taxes for paying for roads over here. They didn't mind paying for roads in their area. So it's actually evolved to a time that, we're probably past due, but this process should have come forward, and it is right for everybody, because we're all having the same issues. We're growing, we got growing pains, and we need our roads prepared, and this will put us in the right place in the future.
And I'm glad you're here, Justin, because if anyone gets this done, it'll be you again.
And also, in the long run, we'll spend a lot less money on road maintenance, because we'll have a maintenance program. I think you still have one more person
Yeah, I
signed up
do.
to speak.
Allison Crumley? And I see Michael Cox after that. Commissioner?
This is not the Aristida PVAS? Yeah,
Yes.
Right place.
twice in one day.
I know, the other one was more fun, though, I have to admit. Good afternoon, Honorable Board of County Commissioners, Chairman Mariano, Ms. Alvarez, and Attorney. And I'd like to welcome the two newbies. Welcome and congratulations. I appreciate so much that you have this on your list of projects, and thank you for your comments, Commissioner Starkey, that we want to keep moving with the paving. I also understand our Aristida HOA is working closely with you all to resolve our particular paving issues, as well as drainage, and my comments are going to tie in with the drainage part, because if the drainage isn't fixed, obviously the paving really isn't going to work. So I'd like to have, just on the record, for those of you who are new to the situation, that the drainage issues on my street in particular, which is Panicum Court, have existed for the better part of 20 years. My swale, in particular, on my property, becomes a sort of retention pond for our street and stays for days or weeks during the rainy season. The situation has worsened, and it was created by a number of residents on the street who filled in their swales, and that has blocked the flow of the original system, which was supposed to meander the water. Okay, in 2015, I was in contact with a gentleman from Swift Mud, John Poanda. He had sent me a letter. He had sent me a survey of my street and all those in violation. And, I'll admit, if our swell has raised because of settlement and we have to pay and do whatever we have to get that fixed, we will do whatever, although we've never physically altered ours intentionally. And I could supply, I know you all are inundated with emails and everything else, but if you want that letter and survey from 2015, I can supply it. That was 7 years ago. I don't know whatever happened, except nothing. So we're a little frustrated. We've been very patient, and we do appreciate the efforts and that you're moving this forward. And it is worsening. A few years ago, we had, there was a lot of rain that particular summer, which we get a lot of rain, and there was nowhere for the water to flow in our yard because this retention pond was filled, and which is not supposed to be there. And our pool filled in with mud, and we wound up spending about $4,500 to dig a drainage ditch to pull it out to the street. So I think that was that was it. I have some pictures I'm just
You
going
have
to leave
another
with y'all.
minute, but Allison,
Okay.
the Aristida PVAS is a little later.
Well, that's what I was asking.
Yeah. No, this is about changing from PVAS to MSTU.
Well, I don't know what those letters mean. I'm on the school board. We don't have those letters.
I know.
I'm just going to stop me.
We have too many.
Does that mean we're
But-
done? I
but
don't have to come
still.
back, right?
But you did say you're glad we're moving to the MSTU and moving forward. I think that's what I heard her say.
Well, you could have stopped me. Do you want my pictures now or later?
Move to receive and file?
Second.
All
All in
right.
favor, say aye.
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 You're
We've
going
got
to
it.
receive and file them in 111,
Give them here.
not in 100.
Yeah.
You didn't have to be polite. You could have told me to stop.
And Mr. Cox, are you 100 or?
I'm 100. I did sign up for 100. I did sign up for 100 and 111. So good afternoon, Commissioners. Welcome Commissioner Bradford and Commissioner Waitman to your new roles, and I hope that you find it as rewarding as I did back in the day when I had the pleasure of serving with Chairman Mariano. I will tell you, this is a long time coming. I will also say that I wish that when I was a commissioner, we had an MSTU, because dealing with the PVAS programs and seeing that the pain that everyone went through, whether it was county staff, the citizens, the commissioners, and hearing the pleas on either side, this will take a lot of that off the table and do really what needs to be done, and that is pave people's roads, right? One of the things that I don't think I've heard today is the fact that in order for the current PVAS program to work and be somewhat palatable to people is the fact that the county kicks in significant dollars to these projects. So having an MSTU and a funding source for once will hopefully free those dollars up so you can use it for other transportation needs or something else. So there's probably a pretty large number there that will be freed up for you. So I would certainly encourage you to pass it. I would also ask that the cutoff time is whether or not construction's been ordered. You know, I think that makes sense to do it that way. If you're thinking of trying to bring in some of these projects that are already in the hopper into the new program earlier, well then great. But I think that the folks who have petitioned and gone through the process, but their construction hasn't started, like the Aristida one, which is later in the agenda, that be covered under the new MSTU process. So I'll be speaking to that when we get to that. But thank you very much, and I appreciate you finally getting this over the finish line, because it's been painful.
Commissioner, while you're there, just on another topic, I want to take advantage of it, just because that holiday parade, did you get the things you needed around the lake from us?
We've heard nothing about it.
All right, would you talk to, I guess, Eric about it?
Yeah.
Before you go? All right, during the break?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks. Okay, is there anyone else here to speak to item P100?
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Mr. Chair. Welcome to the new Commissioners. Glad to see you. I'm Michael Lawson. I'm Director of Operations of Metro Development Group. And as you know, we have many CDDs throughout the Florida, particularly in Pasco County, and very happy to do business here. I think the MSTU program for sourcing is a great idea. Consistency. I just have a couple of questions on the proposed ordinance. The exhibit doesn't show the CDDs in blue that are going to be in the program. It shows CDDs that are to be excluded. So if they're excluded, does that mean that those CDDs are not going to be assessed the MSTUs?
Correct.
So the legal answer is, if you're petitioned that the CDD is doing the maintenance, and you're specially assessing your residents for that pavement, they won't be getting a tax bill from us for that. If it's an early, like some of your CDDs, the earlier ones that they're county roads within the CDDs, they will get assessed unless the CDD wishes to enter into an interlocal agreement with us that they are going to take over the maintenance and they are going to specially assess their residents. That's the working plan right now.
Because I'm getting a lot of questions from a lot of residents, so I just want to be able to answer. I have meetings tonight, as a matter of fact, on 4 of these districts here in the county. Thank you for that clarification. But I know there are some districts that should be excluded. If that's the case, we'll have to probably just shore that up with staff as they move through this process, where all these subdivisions have been platted and the roads dedicated to the CDDs. In those situations, even though maybe the petition was an older form, didn't have that obligation, so we just want to make sure we don't want We have communities that have more than one district because they're so large. We don't want half the district being assessed by the county and the other one being reserved by residents. Just kind of make it consistent on that, and I just wanted that clarification and appreciate that. That's all I have, but thank you very much, and good to see you, and Merry Christmas to everyone.
Merry Christmas. All right, is there anyone else to P100? Is there anyone online?
We had someone sign up, but they're not online.
Okay. All right, we're going to close the public hearing part. Any more questions for staff? I'd like to make a comment. Just talking about swales. Years ago, I went to a community called Oak Ridge, and that community there, in the midst of everybody on both sides of them flooding, they maintained their swales. They were dry as a bone all the time. So just as we take care of drainage, if something's supposed to be done, regular maintenance, just like a dirt road should pay extra.
Right.
The drainage part that should have been done, if coming to confirmation, whatever, should be with those residents as well, just like a dirt road will pay extra. Someone who has filled in swales, they should be, paying their share for that too, I would think. Just a discussion point for this.
Say that again? I was pulling up something.
So I'll give you an example. Oak Ridge.
Yeah, I used to live in Riviera behind Oak Ridge.
Okay. So Riviera behind it, at one point, did not maintain their ditches. John Polander and company had to go in there, get the CDD to go, or the HOA to go maintain it, and they did. And they were in great shape from there. Oak Ridge, on the other side, never had a problem because they maintained their swales.
Yeah, never had flooding in there.
So every community that takes care of their swales, obviously is going to be okay to do it. But if, whether it be Aristide or another community that has filled in ditches that didn't maintain them, that should be part of it, but that shouldn't fall on the burden on the others.
Yeah, and you know who else has done that? It's in your district now. Off of 54 on the other side of Suncoast. They filled in their ditches and their cemented their culverts, and it's a mess in there.
And I'm all for us working with them every step of the way. But again, in fairness to the people for the paving, it's all about paving, not for the other stuff.
So, may I say that part of the road paving process involves road-related drainage? So if you have, before we come in there and do any paving works for the past 4 or 5 years, we need to do that swale improvement. If there's a pipe that is going bad, we need to replace them as well.
Okay.
So that's road-related drainage. And it's about 50% stormwater, 50% road and bridge, road and drainage funds.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Any more thoughts or additions? Anyone want to make a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Whew, happy day.
Yeah, one additional comment to this is.
Okay, sorry.
I'm for this, I feel like the discussion needs to happen when we set the rate. Our
Oh,
residents have had a new tax put on them.
Right.
And so I'm excited this is finally happening, but I feel like real work gets done when we see it next time.
Absolutely. All these little
So-
details are coming out. They're all going to come out, and believe me, when it gets to the numbers, all these people that are on these projects that are coming up, they will be out there talking about what they want to see, so we will get a lot of feedback. But I will tell you, the team, Justin and company, are phenomenal. The stuff they've done with, I'll say that Highlands paving assessment that you had done up there, the FGA takeover, what you had to go make through there, to this complex problem. These guys just are great at it, and I think they do a great job getting the word out for all the people to look at, see it before we vote on it. So I feel real confident on it. Okay, that's a roll call.
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Aye.
District 2, Commissioner Waitman.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Bradford.
Aye.
District 5, Chairman Mariano.
Aye. Okay, now we'll move to public hearings. County Attorney, would you explain the process?
Be happy to, Mr. Chairman. There are 2 rezoning agendas, regular and consent. Staff will present each application to the Board of County Commissioners if staff or Planning Commission has recommended approval and there is no opposition to the application will be considered by the board without further presentation. If staff or Planning Commission has recommended denial, or if there is opposition to the application, the applicant will be given 5 minutes for presentation. The opposition will be given 3 minutes for each individual or 5 minutes for a group representative, and the applicant will be given 3 minutes for rebuttal. Any individual disagreeing with staff or Planning Commission recommendation or anyone wishing to object to any condition of the rezoning may at this time request the petition be pulled from the consent agenda, in which case that application will be heard under the regular agenda later on during the meeting. Otherwise, all rezoning applications on the consent agenda will be approved by a single motion and vote. If you wish to speak to any petition, please give your name and address and whether or not you've been sworn for the record. These are quasi-judicial public hearings. The law in Florida is that mere public support or opposition of an application is insufficient for this board to take action. Please limit your comments to those criteria found within the board's land development code. Madam Clerk, would you like to swear the public in?
Yes, thank you. If you're here to speak on the remaining items, if you could please stand to be sworn in. If you're here to speak on the remaining items, please stand. I think the gentleman in the front wanted to speak earlier.
Yes. Yep.
Yes, didn't you want to speak
Yep,
earlier?
stand up and.
No.
No, swear, this is swearing in. This is
I need
swearing
you-
in, but you need to.
Raise your right hand.
All right, please raise your right hands. Thank you. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, so help you God? Thank you. You may be seated.
Today, we have 3 public hearing items in the consent agenda. We'll start with P101. It's a continuance.
Yeah.
And we have proof of this. The P101 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on August 17th, 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. P101 is PDD 23CU03. It's a conditional use request, Homily LLC and Priya Properties LLC, Urban 54 Estates. It's a conditional use for multiple family dwellings in a C2 general commercial district in south central Pasco County on the north side of State Road 54. The item is requested for continuous to February 21, 2023 at 1:30 p.m. here in Newport Richey.
Okay. Can I have a motion to continue? P10101? So moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, P102, another continuance?
Item P102 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on October 5th, 2022.
Item P102 is PDD 23CU05 in the name of Gulf Vision 2 LLC, Verizon Wireless. It's a 145-foot above-ground level monopole wireless communications facility in an MPUD Master Plan Unit Development District in south central Pasco County on the south side of Lexington Oaks Boulevard. This is to continue it to a date uncertain.
Yeah, can I have a motion to a date, time uncertain?
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And P103, do we have, P103, do we have proof?
Yes. Item P103 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on November 2nd, 2022.
Item P103 is PDD 237607. It's a zoning amendment in the name of Bales Wildcat CCMPD Connected City Master Plan Unit Development, Wildcat Groves Incorporated, Janet Elizabeth LaRue and Cynthia D. Bales. It's a rezoning request from an ER Estate Residential Zoning District to an MPUD Master Plan Unit Development to allow development of a maximum of 1,275 multifamily residential units, 155,000 square feet of retail, 150,000 square feet of office, 150,000 square feet of medical office, 250 hotel rooms, and 365,000 square feet of hospital uses on approximately 176 acres. The continuance request is to March 7, 2023 at 1:30 p.m. in Dade City.
Yeah, can I have a motion to continue?
Move to continue?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item P104, do we have proof?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Item P104 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on October 19th, 2022.
Item P104 is a zoning amendment to the name of Apple Enterprises Trust, Paul M. Adesi and Maria Clementine Stamper, TTEE, Catfish Townhomes. It's a change in zoning from AR Agricultural Residential District and R2 Low Density Residential District to an MF1 Multiple Family Medium Density District in South Central Pasco County on the northeast corner of Catfish Lake Road and Camp Indian Head Road, containing approximately 6.52 acres. It's a continuance request to January 10, 2023 at 1:30 p.m. in Dade City.
We have a motion to continue.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 P105, do we have proof?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Item P105 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on August 3rd, 2022, and by affidavit of site postings.
Item P105 is a large-scale comprehensive plan amendment, PDD 230009. It's CPL 2206, Saddlebrook Resort. It's a transmittal of proposed large-scale comprehensive plan amendment creating sub-area policy flu 7.1.66, creating future land use map 2-9 sheet 66, amending future land use map maps 2-15 and sheet 22 from Res 6, residential 6 dwellings per gross acre, to PD plan development on approximately 420.47 acres of real property located south of State Road 54 and east of Service Road. This is in the agenda memo. It's requested to continue to January 10, 2023 at 1:30 in Dade City, but in consultation with the applicants and their agreement, the request is to continue to February 7, 2023 at 1:30 p.m. in Dade City.
And before I ask for this motion, I want to just bring out a point from residents. They had a series of public hearings, and the attorney wants to speak to it, she can as well. I've talked with her about it and talked to the residents. They were very uncomfortable with the way the posting was done with the rezoning. I got a ton of phone calls across the board on the item. The unclearness of what was going to happen, even with that, was not made to them. So I don't feel, frankly, that the Planning Commission got a good hearing, and those are some experts we have on there to take a look at everything for us. I would like to even see how the board feels, but I really think this thing should go back to the Planning Commission before it comes back to us as well. So I want to throw that out there with what I know. I think we've all got emails on it,
Because
so.
of the changes they've made.
Because the changes, but even more importantly, the unclearness of whatever. They had limited amount of public hearing on it, that not everybody got to do it. They didn't get to do it in person. And if ever there's a place in the plan that it should be able to accommodate a public hearing, I would think it would be Saddlebrook Resort. So I want to share that with you.
The neighborhood meeting.
The neighborhood meeting.
Not the public hearing.
Yeah, the neighborhood meeting, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, the neighborhood meeting for everybody to come to. And I think they should do it all at once where everybody's in there hearing the whole thing. So I feel that way. I just wanted, before we make this continuous, and I do appreciate that you're willing to move it back for us, accommodate the signs as well. So I do appreciate what you've done, Barbara, don't get me wrong. But I just think with the people, just the extra feedback I keep getting, that they feel that they weren't, their voices weren't heard from the get-go. So I want to know what you guys think. If you think that way as well, then we can have a
I want to hear
conversation.
from Barbara what they've done. 'Cause-
Barbara Wilhite, 6327 Grand Boulevard, Newport Richey, 34652. We've done a lot. This is a process, and we've been going through that process. Over the summer, the client started with meetings with the homeowners association, the boards. I think there's 4. It started with the boards. Then they went in and did virtual meetings. There was an issue with one of the meetings in Fairway Village with the number of people that you could be on Zoom. They did another virtual meeting. They're getting ready to do another in-person round of meetings, and they're working through the HOAs to set those up, because that's how the boards want them set up. The boards themselves want to give out the notices to their residents as opposed to giving out a list that we would send to, that my client would send to. All the information is always the same when he presents for different boards. So he's getting ready to do in-person meetings this month. So we feel we'll be ready for the board probably in January, but we have agreed to February. We followed all the process in the code and the comp plan. We're reaching out to people. Everybody's getting the information. So we'd like to continue on the schedule that we're on. We've agreed instead of January to February. And we're going to continue this process and continue meeting with people and working with them. And we are coming back to meet with you all, trying to get those meetings, to keep you up to date along the way with what we've been doing, because we have been making changes, we have been listening, and some pretty significant things that we've been talking to with. There's 2 of the HOAs that are represented by council, so I work with their council. So it's a pretty big effort, but we do want to stay on schedule because we did follow all the rules.
So Barbara, I appreciate what you're doing, and I'm not implying that you guys did anything wrong per se, just the way it was done is not satisfactory to the residents that I've talked to. And I do think that if we're going to hear, if they're going to hear a presentation, everybody affected should be in the same room, the same presentation in a meeting. Whether they want to do it separately, that's extra, but everybody in the whole community should be hearing it at the same time, what's going to be done. And when the questions were asked, didn't get answers, is even more reason to go back to everybody.
Well, they
But
are.
more, hang on, more importantly, whatever's going to get submitted to what's going to go on out there, that should be part of the presentation that the planning commission hears. And there was a lot of unclarity. Frankly, the way it's set, it's a very unique setup, but for, frankly, this to go forward to be even on consent from before, it should never have gone that way, in my opinion. But the planning commission, I feel, needs to hear a full presentation, and the people should be able to comment to the planning commission. Let them ask the questions of these folks that we appoint that represent us to be that extra layer of protection for the folks to get the public hearing process done, to let them get heard. So I'll request it now.
Well, look, can I ask a question? Because
Sure.
if staff can, I see Terry's looking at his phone, he's probably looking at dates. If we can have a planning commission hearing in January, still come to the board in February, because we need to do these meetings
I'm
in
okay,
Dade
I'm okay
City.
with that.
So I don't want to keep pushing and pushing. And
I'll-
actually, if you keep pushing it, it actually makes it worse, because then there's gaps, and then people don't know, they're like, well, what's going on with the hearings? And so if we
Yeah,
can.
time-wise, I'm okay, I'm okay with the January meeting, if you can get in planning commission, I'm okay with that. As long as you get your meeting done ahead of time,
He's
too.
looking at his watch.
I think we can, it's December 6th, so I think we can manage a planning commission in January, probably the first.
Whichever one's in Dade City.
Yeah, the first meeting in January,
Okay,
January 5th.
okay. No, I'm very glad you're saying that. I think the people would be happy with that, and I think that would work for me. And that wouldn't slow the process down either.
I'm
Okay.
fine with that. I'm very confident that the things that my clients doing, that we'll have a lot of buy-in, actually, as we go forward. We just got a lot going on, and we're really working hard on it, so I have no problem going back. I guess that's what you'll do, is because it's your hearing today, you just refer it back to planning commission. I guess that's the motion, but you've got your attorney here.
Let me see from our county attorney how we should like to, how he recommends we handle it.
So I guess the question becomes, you can continue your board meeting date to the date in February with direction to the applicant to hold an additional planning commission meeting on January 5th.
Okay.
I think that,
Okay.
otherwise you're going to have to start over with a board ad, and I don't
No,
really, if you remand it to planning commission, then you're going to start over
You're right.
re-advertising it,
See?
so.
Thank you.
Okay. That's why you're here, man.
So this meeting would be, this hearing would be continued to the February 7th Board of County Commissioners meeting in Dade City, is that? At 1:30 or soon thereafter, as same may be heard.
Okay, did
Do
we
we
take
make a
public comment?
We don't have to.
It's a continuance.
Continuous, okay.
Now, how do
Staff,
we add
do you want to
in?
make the motion?
Hang on for a second. How do we add in about the planning commission to hear it as well? Or do we have to?
And with direction to staff to bring this matter to the
January 5th.
to January 5th Planning Commission.
I'll
I
make the
just want to
motion.
ask the question of how are we going to notice the planning commission meeting? Because the code just changed today, so I want to,
I will do full notice. We have 700 people we need to notice to. We have a third-party company who's going to do any of the notices. We were waiting for today to get re-notices out, so we now know what to notice. So we'll do that immediately.
So you can add a better in the same piece of paper and send it all up together.
What was that?
You can do both of them together in the same notice.
Yes.
Perfect.
And we'll repost and the additional sign that we talked about, Commissioner,
Okay,
and we will go from there.
excellent.
All right, thank you, Ms. Wilhite. Make motion to send the item to planning commission in January, and we'll see this back again in February.
Second.
January 5th?
January 5th.
In
and
Dade
back
City?
in Dade
Commissioner,
City, back in February.
if I may, can you move, the dates are important in your motion. So it would be, move to continue the board meeting, the board hearing on this matter to February 7th, 2023 at 1:30 or soon thereafter, as same may be held, and have the matter referred back to Planning Commission on the January 5th, 2023 Planning Commission date. with advertising of both matters.
Is that your motion?
I adopt Mr. Stein Snyder's
Second.
verbiage.
I'll second that, but I'd like to see him repeat that.
I was looking for a so moved, but good. Well
You can do
done.
voice memo, just play it back.
All right, I have a motion second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? All right. Barbara, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And thank you, Board, for entertaining my conversation on that. And that will bring us to the consent agenda. We have 3 items. Do we have proof?
Move to approve?
Do we have proof?
Yes, item
Oh.
P106 was
I read
published in the Tampa Bay Times on October 19th, 2022.
Item P106 is PDD 237660. It's a zoning amendment, MB3 Properties LLC, Matter Brothers. It's a change in zoning from an AC agricultural district and C2 general commercial district to a C2 general commercial district in south central Pasco County on the south side of State Road 54, approximately a quarter mile west of Wesley Chapel Boulevard, containing approximately 9.4 acres. This comes with a recommendation to approve.
Okay. It is on the consent agenda. Is anyone from the audience who wish to speak in opposition of P106? Is there anyone on WebEx?
No one on WebEx for P106.
Okay, hearing none, keep it on consent. P107.
Item P107 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on October 19th, 2022, and I do have individuals signed up for this item.
Okay, so we're going to pull item P107 from consent. P108.
Item P108 was published in the Tampa Bay Times on October 19th, 2022.
Item P108 is PDD 237670. It's a zoning amendment, Kaikist Inc., change in zoning from an AR agricultural residential district to a C2 general commercial district, northwest Pasco County on the northeast corner of US Highway 19 and Gladwin Avenue, containing approximately 9.66 acres, and this comes with a recommendation to approve.
Okay, is there anyone here to speak in opposition of P108 in the audience? Anybody on WebEx?
No one on WebEx.
And if I could, let me just clarify, I'm going to keep this on consent. Let me go back to 107. Is there anybody on P107 that signed up that's in opposition of the item? P107. Anybody in opposition of P107? Okay. No one on WebEx, so let's leave all 3 on consent.
That's correct. No one is on WebEx for P107 or P108.
Okay. All right. Ready for motion now?
Yeah, move approval.
He moves approval for consent
Wait,
item.
something's happening.
Sorry. Liam Devine, Planning and Development. I do believe there are some people in the audience today who would like to speak on 107. I don't know if they're in opposition, but I believe they have some concerns.
Okay.
But it is up to the board.
All right, so I'm gonna pull 107 then, I'm sorry. So can I have a motion on the consent for P106 and 108?
Move approval for 106 and 108.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. P107,
Okay.
do a presentation.
Want to speak?
Thank you very much for coming forward.
Liam Devine, Planning and Development. Before I begin item P107, I have received several ex partes for each of the commissioners, and I have provided them to the clerk's office. I would also like to request to receive and file a conceptual for this rezoning.
Move to receive and file. Oh, so can someone make that motion?
Move to receive and file.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
PDD 23-7665 in the name of REMA Investments LLC, Apple Enterprises Trust. It is a rezoning amendment from R2 Low Density Residential District to C2 General Commercial District. The subject site is located on the southwest side of Catfish Lake Road, north of State Road 54. This is an aerial view of the project. This is the surrounding future land use. To the north is Res 6, to the east is Com Commercial, to the south is Res 12 and Res 3, and to the west is Com Commercial as well. The surrounding zoning to the north is R2, to the east is C2, to the south is AR and MPUD, and to the west is R2. The subject site is currently undeveloped on approximately 8.39 acres. The applicant proposes to develop the property with a daycare and restaurant in conformance with the C2 General Commercial District standards for development. Access to the property is from State Road 54, a FDOT maintained arterial roadway with approximately 200 feet of right-of-way that varies, and Camp Indian Head and Catfish Lake Road, a county-maintained local road with approximately 50 feet of right-of-way that varies. The surrounding area is characterized by commercial and residential development, and the subject site has a future land use classification of commercial. Here are updated conceptual plans for the rezoning. And here's a zoomed-in version as well. This is coming with a recommendation from Planning Commission and Planning Development Department for approval. I'm here if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Yes, I'm looking at Google Maps, I guess, and there's a 5-foot sidewalk to the west of this. Are there any plans to, I know this is the old part of 54, and before we went to complete streets and put multi-use on the north side in other places along 54. What is the plan, if any, for this area?
So I can double check on that while you accept public comment and see if there are any plans. Are you referring to
The frontage.
the frontage just along 54?
Yeah, there's a sidewalk there now. I just
Yes.
didn't know if in our master plan, there was a hope or dream of having something other than a 5-foot sidewalk. That may be a 4-foot sidewalk. I'm not even sure.
I will double check and I can answer that after public comment if
Okay.
that's all right with you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So am I missing something? You've distributed a conceptual plan for straight Euclidean zoning to C2. Is there a conditional use that's going with this?
There is not. The applicant submitted a conceptual, and I believe there are several individuals here that have concerns, and they reviewed that conceptual with the applicant and wanted to speak to that today. And if they were going to reference it, I wanted to make sure you guys had it in front of you.
But if it's C2, the applicant can submit a site plan for whatever they want.
Correct.
Okay. Just making that clear.
Yep. There is no deed restriction for uses either, so this would be allow any of the C2 uses permitted.
Okay.
Okay, would the applicant like to come forward?
Good afternoon. My name is Jason Glazer, 19940 Northeast 21st Court. As discussed, our application.
been sworn?
You've been sworn.
Oh, do I need
What
to be
city
sworn?
is that?
Did you
Have you
I'm
been,
actually from Miami.
have you been sworn?
Yes, well, I
Have you,
stood up.
did you get you sworn in?
Yeah.
Then you're good to go.
Thank you. So we are looking to rezone the property to C2 commercial, which is part of the future land use. We are proposing to build a 12,000 square foot daycare facility, a Class A facility, actually run by a franchisee, a local Pasco County resident. It's not a corporate use, as well as a proposed restaurant for the front. We have spoken with a couple of the residents in regards to some of their concerns, and I wanted to address some of those concerns. First being the postings. We had sent all the postings that we were required to via mail, have sent the Planning and Zoning Department copies of the postings, as well as we have a lot of the return receipts. We also posted our sign as properly required. It had blown over, which we then fixed and sent proof of that to the Planning and Zoning Department. Secondly, we have heard concerns about traffic. Our original proposed site plan had 2 exits onto Catfish Lake Road with 3 buildings proposed. We toned that down to 2 buildings with 1 exit onto Catfish Lake Road, 1 direct straight lane coming in off State Road 54 and heading out the back. We purposely put the daycare facing the back so that there's no playground in the rear causing noise for children during the day. Also for the safety of children, not having that along the back road. And we feel that it's adequately spaced so that way there would not cause any backup in traffic. Furthermore, I want to reiterate, this is not a school. This is a daycare. There is no drop-off, no stacking. You have to physically park and walk your child into the property. The property usually gets busy from 1 to 3 o'clock most of the day. It won't interfere with afternoon traffic, morning traffic. It would probably, if it was maxed out at all times, would hold 160 kids, but drop-off occurs by age group, so it's never full all at the same time. So we're alleviating traffic with that. And furthermore, we've heard issues in regards to the wetlands. The property is about 8.39 acres, of which only 3 acres are uplands. We will have to mitigate some of the wetlands. Based on our wetland studies, they are not high-quality wetlands. We have done endangered species studies. There are currently no endangered species found on the property. We will be mitigating about a half acre of the wetlands. We will have to enhance those wetlands, adding about another half acre to the property. Furthermore, we understand that sometimes when it rains, there is ponding. That is probably due to the quality of the wetlands. It's not draining properly. We will be adding retention as well as connecting to the sewer system, which should alleviate some of those issues, as well as, and furthermore, with the wetlands, there are no endangered species specifically in the areas that will be impacted. We believe that the new proposed site plan takes care of a lot of the issues that we've heard from the local community, and we believe, as heard from some of the residents earlier this morning, that the use proposed is of high quality and is not just another Burger King or McDonald's, and is actually supporting the local community by building a use for a local resident. We've built about 12 of these throughout Central and West Florida. We've never had issues with parking. We've never had issues with big traffic areas. And we do believe that it's a use that will provide a benefit to the whole community.
Okay. Any questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
For your,
Commissioner Wade.
thank you. What's your name again?
Jason Glazer.
Mr. Glazer, what's your hours of operation for your daycare?
The daycare is open from about 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., but with staggered drop-offs.
Yeah, and your restaurant would be run till?
Right now, we don't have a restaurant. It's just a proposed retail building. We don't have anything lined up.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Is that billboard yours?
The billboard is not ours.
I'd love to see that come down.
Be prepared for your signs.
Yes, follow billboard
Okay.
non-liker.
All right. Very good. We appreciate your coming forward. Now we're going to take some public comment.
Thank you.
Brad, do you want to add something?
Yes, I did want to add something real quick, just clarification, and I think Mr. Schneider was speaking to it earlier. This is zoning, Euclidean zoning. The conceptual plan and the different aspects that he's talked about in different uses are not confirmed as part of this process. The site has not gone through any form of approval with us, so some of those claims of access points and things like that are subject to change. We just want to make sure that that was clear, that this hasn't been gone through the process yet.
Okay. Very good. And we have some residents that want to speak?
Yes, I have a couple individuals signed up. The first I have is Veronica Sanchez, followed by Cindy, I think it's Miner? Moliner, thank you. And then Stephanie Rose. There's others, but those are the first three.
Okay.
Hi, good afternoon. I wanted to start by saying thank you for your time. I did send an email yesterday asking for extra time.
If I could stop you, though?
Yes, sir.
Let's have your name, address, and then have you been sworn?
Apologies. My name is Veronica Sanchez, 2316 Reserve Court, Land O'Lakes, 34639, and I have been sworn in.
Thank you.
So I did send an email asking for a little extra time since I am kind of leading our community with this. I don't believe I may need the extra time, but just to be safe.
How much extra time do you want?
Just 2 minutes.
Okay.
So, so I have sent emails to the commission. I'm not sure if you had an opportunity to take a look, but the first thing that I would love to impress is the fact that our community is not against rezoning. We are not here to stop this rezoning. As a matter of fact, I did have an opportunity to speak with the applicant, John from EG3 Development, and we are actually very welcome to their business coming into our community. We know that this is a family-based community. We know that it's going to be a place for children and we are very open to that. Our big concern as a neighborhood is our safety and the ability to come in and out of our neighborhood very easily. I understand that they're talking about the drop-off times, and that's okay. It's just where our community is, it's kind of hard to get in and out already. And some of my neighbors who are here with me will give you those presentation points here in just a little bit. As just mentioned, I do know that the conceptual can be changed, so I would like to bring up a couple of the concerns that we have. The first conceptual actually was very concerning for us because it was showing 2 entrances on the backside. One of those entrances was actually across the street from a couple of the homes. We are much more comfortable with the new conceptual, and one of the things that we would like to have is a safeguard that there will only be one back entrance. We would like to request that that back entrance remain approximately 350 feet away from Camp Indian Head. Because the new conceptuals are a little bit more zoomed in, it's difficult to see exactly where it sits along Catfish Lake Road. So it's a little bit difficult to see where it is in conjunction with Camp Indian Head. So one of the things that we are asking is to please keep the back entrance at least 350 feet away from Camp Indian Head, which would be more ideal for that entrance to not be across the street from homes. I also understand when I spoke with John, one of the things that he told me was the fact that when they're coming in, that they are actually planning on improving the land, which I appreciate very much. And on the conceptual, I see where they're doing the wet pond and everything. We would also like to request some trees, maybe some buffering, just to make sure that there is some sort of green that is still going to kind of separate where the homes are on Camp Indian Head away from just that whole property in general. We would like to be able to just have a little bit of separation. We're not asking for a whole lot. And that is another one of the things in consideration with just the site plan itself. That is another one of our concerns, is to make sure that we have proper buffering. Also, because of the fact that homes are so close to this site, one of our concerns is also the lighting of the property. We want to make sure that it doesn't interfere. We're not getting a lot of light pollution on the homes that are on Camp Indian Head. So if we could get directional lighting to make sure that that remains, a nice private area for our residents, and they're not getting a big spotlight going like right into their house. So, the directional lighting, the issue with the back entrance. We're open to having the back entrance there because I do understand my husband is actually a first responder, so we understand the need for being able to have several points of ingress and egress from the property. One of the ideas that I would like to present is perhaps on the back end, you can have the entrance, but perhaps make it an exit only to the right, maybe exit to the right onto Catfish. That way you're not getting increased traffic coming into the Camp Indian Head residence. So I believe that for me, that's all I have. I'm sorry, let me just take a look at my notes since I have 30 seconds here. So again, I just really want to impress the fact that we are not trying to stop this rezoning. We're not saying we don't want you here. We are very open for Kiddie Academy to come into our neighborhood. We just want to make sure that this remains a safe place for us, for the families who are going to come in and be part of Kiddie Academy, and to make sure that everyone gets in and out of our neighborhood easily.
Okay,
So we don't respond to what you say, but we'll just take more public comment. But
I'm sorry?
I'll ask some questions, but
Yes,
I'll wait
ma'am.
for the rest of the public.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cindy Milner?
Good afternoon. Cindy Mulliner, a resident 2327 Camp Indian Head Road in Land O'Lakes 34639. And yes, I have been sworn in. We have a presentation, I'm hoping.
Just one moment, they're loading it.
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
Great. The couple of items I wanted to address with you today is really about the safety and the quality of the road, specifically Catfish Lake Road. As you can see from these photos, it really depicts a lot of the safety issues. It has not been kept. It's an unkept road. We don't have any sidewalks. We have no bike trails. We don't have curbs. We are literally walking on the road. It's a very narrow road. It's only 20 feet wide, so that's clearly not allowing a lot of traffic to flow in and out. The ideal scenario would be to get sidewalks at least for taking our dogs out, or my son actually goes to Pasco County as a high school student. He just started this year. His first day was actually, the worst part of it was walking to the bus stop in the morning. He's never been one to be vulnerable like this, so he said to me, "Mom, I honestly could hear things, but I couldn't see anything in front of me. All I saw was black. I couldn't even find the road where I was walking." Coincidentally, 2 days later, my husband and I were driving home, and it was dark, same pathway he walks to the bus stop, and a 6-foot gator crossed my path. Obviously not a position we want any of our children to ever be in, especially when they're on a narrow, dark road without a sidewalk or curb to help guide their path. So that was frightening. But the road itself is up here on the screen, and it just, again, depicts the lack of sidewalks. No curbs, we talked about that a little bit. No. There. So thank you for your time. Sorry.
You still have you have another minute.
I'm sorry?
You have another minute.
Oh, good. I thought that just told me to stop.
No, 1 minute to go.
So really, the amount of vehicle traffic that can come in and out is limited again by that narrow roadway. The road itself is really unkept, and that's, I think, the biggest concern. I mean, we live within a mile of Publix. You literally want to take your bike there and avoid 54's traffic altogether, but when you don't feel safe riding a bike down to the grocery store, that's sad, because we have a great community, and it's just in dire need of cleaning up. Especially when you think about the projections of a daycare that hosts 180 students in a day. Now, they said max capacity 160, every other number I've seen is 180, so don't know if there's any discrepancy there. But between drop-offs, pickups, faculty, staff, you're looking at about 320 vehicles, plus the townhomes of 24 townhomes, which would actually double our residential population from what it is today. So. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephanie Rose, followed by Heather Willis, followed by Jacob Luchenko, followed by Patty Jovino.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. My name is Stephanie Rose. I also live in Camp Indian Head Road, and I have been sworn in. As you can see on the PowerPoints here on the slides, intersection road, just to kind of give you guys a perspective of where we're at. I'm a realtor and a broker, and we are on 54 between 41 and Collier Parkway. So we're 3.5 miles from the outlet mall on 75. So we're extremely, extremely busy. We have 10,000 folks moving in per week for the last 2 years since COVID has hit. But regardless, intersection 54 and Camp Indian Road, as dangerous as it is now, if you've ever traveled it, we see accidents daily on 54 between Collier Parkway and 41. Vehicles traveling very fast. They're about 60 to 70 miles, which is not uncommon. Our wait times just to make a left-hand turn, which I'll be showing here shortly, are typically anywhere between 3 and 5 minutes. We talked about putting a light up there, possibly that might help, but again, we can't have a light every block down 54, but something to be concerned about. The median is often filled with vehicles, where you'll see the U-turns and attempting to go into Huron Cove, which is a condo complex, townhome complex across from us, as well as our neighborhood. And then at any amount of time during the day, I appreciate Mr. Glazer. He said he lives in Miami, Florida. If you live here in Pasco County and Land O'Lakes, our busy times are not 1 to 3. They're just, our busy times are 7 to 10, 11 to 1, and 4 to 7 for our particular community that we're discussing today. I'll go to our next slide. So right here, as you can see right here, the lines showing the traffic, there is 8 different ways a car can, we would be coming out, we're the blue line, we'd be coming out to make a left-hand turn onto 54. We can also go into our community by the orange line. Those are our 2 main lines. Heron Cove is just south of us. That's the purple line. They can go left and they can go right. And then we've got folks going westbound on 54. They can go left, or they do a U-turn. So in that median at any given point in time, you'll see here on the next slide, there's multiple cars at all times. And this is an older version, but there is a community complex here that also went in about 2 years ago that you'll see here shortly. This is from a dash cam, from one of our dash cams. This is when we go to make a left-hand turn. That's the Camp Indian Head Crossing stores, and there's multiple businesses in there currently right now. The daycare would be going on the other side of that. This is a slow day, actually. There's someone coming from number 3 from Heron Cove to make a left onto 54. That person, number 2, is making a U-turn, and number 1 is trying to get onto Camp Indian Head. At any given point in time, usually around rush hour traffic, you'll see about 9 cars, and 4 are in the middle right there. So, and that's just from me coming and going with our little ones, school and stuff like that. So just wanted to point that out to you, and yeah, that's what I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Heather Willis?
Hi, Heather Willis, Camp Indian Head Road, 2107, Land O'Lakes, Florida, 34639. I'm going to speak
And you have been sworn?
Yes, I have been sworn in.
Now you may proceed. Thank you.
I'm going to speak to the fact that we have no dedicated slow-down lanes. Where they propose this daycare to be built, to turn onto Catfish Lake, you're coming from the east or the west. From the east, there is no slow-down lane to turn onto Catfish, and there would be, I assume they would have a slow-down lane for turning into the daycare. Also, when you get around to Camp Indian Head, there is no slow-down lane there. We have 65,000 cars that come down this road on a daily basis. Sorry, I'm nervous, I'm not a speaker. Slowing traffic behind the vehicles and also risking rear-end collisions. This turn comes before the proposed front entrance to the plaza, which means that people may likely opt to use the back entrance. This turn is also frequently used by the residents and the patrons of Pep Boys and AutoZone. AutoZone also test drives its cars on this back road constantly, which is a lot of traffic and makes it dangerous for us also walking. In regards to there being lines, as she stated, there's different times where 1 to 3 is not the busy time. The busy times can be 6:30 in the morning till 9:30, and then anywhere from 11 to 2. And then, of course, from 4 to 6:30, you still cannot get out. And in regards to this, the other day I was coming out of Camp Indian Head, and there were 8 vehicles in this turning area just trying to go different directions, whether it's making a U-turn or going straight or trying to turn left to go east or west. It just crowds up the area. It's become very dangerous. As a matter of fact, I was leaving today and there was a car accident right there as I was leaving. Sorry, 1 second. The FDOT, we did try to research that and look up some information in regards to FDOT crash. There are no statistics at this time because they're updating the systems. But it shows that we had an F rating, and the map shows consistency in collisions along the 54 vicinity where this proposed commercial development is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jacob Luchenko, followed by Patty Jovino.
Hi, Jacob Luchenko, 2319 Reserve Court, Land O'Lakes, 34639. I've
Sir,
been
you-
sworn in.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your time. Here's a picture of a recent fatality or accident. It was fatal. That was on October 12th. I think that was in the newspaper. So, there's close calls like this constantly. It took me 5 minutes to make a right turn to come here today. It's a little ridiculous. Discussion points against rezoning application. SR 54 has a grade of F, as was just said. The incorporation of the planned 5441 intersection project will increase speed and traffic flow, making it even more difficult to come in and out of the neighborhood. That'll be a problem. The intersection we've seen concerns me. My wife goes out there in the mornings when it's dark and she makes her left-hand turn. If anybody coming from east or west is not have headlights on, someone's going to get hurt because you can't see. There's no light. There's no traffic signals. But again, you can't put them, every block. So we just wanted to point out that if this moves forward, we just ask that due diligence is done in making sure that everybody's safe. I mean, I've got kids growing up who are going to start driving at some point in their lives. Everybody's been through this. We just want the safest thing for our kids. This isn't safe for half the people that are driving out there. Proposal to close off the median at 54 and Camp Indian Head will create an even greater danger, forcing anyone exiting the neighborhood to make a unsafe U-turn to head east on 54. That's a problem. Like I said, it took me 5 minutes. I have video too, so I know I'm under oath, but I have video showing that it took 5 minutes to take a right turn. The traffic has gotten increasingly heavy as of late, and it's a little troubling. There's a lot of people out there. But that is it for me, and I'm going to give my time back to you guys. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Patty Jovino.
Good afternoon. My name is Patricia Jovino, and I live at 2223 Camp Indian Head Road, Land O'Lakes, and I've been living at that address for 34 years, and I was sworn in. Last week, I emailed a letter to you and stating my concerns about the rezoning. And in my letter, I mentioned that my family and probably most of the people in this neighborhood moved there because of the peaceful, quiet, and natural setting. It's a special place. I went to the camp a couple times. My neighbors have addressed a multitude of traffic and safety concerns, which definitely will be compounded with this commercial project. In addition, the potential townhome project on the corner of Camp Indian Head Road and Catfish Lake Road would even further exacerbate the traffic concerns, noise, construction traffic, and other impacts to our neighborhood. Improvements to Catfish Lake Road are needed. Sidewalks and road widening are needed. This is a small neighborhood, and as you have heard, residents walk, ride bikes, and walk pets on the road. We have elderly residents and small children. With commercial development, this road will be even more hazardous and needs to be improved. Just an example, I was walking yesterday and a car came speeding very fast toward me in the middle of the road. Fortunately, I was paying attention, but a sidewalk would eliminate a situation like that. As has been stated, we are open to responsible development and welcome EG3 development and the economic growth they bring. I am concerned about the mention of a restaurant because that would bring in a great deal more traffic, and I was only aware of the daycare. So it would be nice to know what is going to go there. Our main concern is the community safety, the safety of the children who'll be attending Kitty Academy, and all of those who drive in and out of our neighborhood. We are also concerned about the preservation of our residential neighborhood atmosphere, about reducing the impact to the natural environment as much as possible. Buffers and barriers with landscaping and/or walls are needed to help reduce traffic noise and visibility from State Road 54. In closing, as a community, we're asking, what are our next steps? How can we achieve these improvements and mitigations? What steps can be taken to hold the Florida Department of Transportation, SWIFMA, the developer, and the county accountable for these needed improvements? So, as Veronica and everyone has said, we didn't come here to demand a stop to the rezoning, but we are very concerned about the things that have been addressed and the safety concerns and the preservation of our neighborhood environment. So thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, that is all that I have who has signed up to speak on 107, and I do not have anyone on WebEx for P107.
Okay. I don't know if we should have maybe Brad.
There's a gentleman that might.
For additional public comment that
Yeah,
might
is
not
it-
have been signed up.
Anyone else in the public would still like to speak? Didn't sign up. Now, if you keep moving it.
Okay.
Wait, I sorry, couldn't read you.
Of my house. I live in 2101 Camping and Hill Road for the last 18 years. When they developed the corner of Camping and Hill and 54 with a multiple use.
Sir, have you been sworn?
Restaurant, department, and so forth. They elevate the ground about 3-4 feet over the road. All that runoff, guess where it comes? To my yard. And that's only one small commercial development. And then the second thing is, you may not tell this now, but every square mile that we pave in Florida is 1 square mile less that aquifer is going to replenish. And third, it's not uncommon that at peak hours of traffic, the red light at Lowe's backs up all the way to the entrance of Camping and Hill. We cannot even make a turn because it's a parking lot. Thank you very much.
And said, sir?
We need his name.
We need your name, address, and have you been sworn?
Pardon?
We need your name, your address, and have you been sworn?
Sorry, I'm very hard.
Can you say your name for the record?
My name is Luis A. Gutierrez, live 2101 Camping and Hill Road, 34639, Florida.
And were you sworn in with everybody else?
Earlier, did you raise your right hand and swear in?
I swear very good.
I think that's a yes.
Okay, I will remember that one. I have to tell you one more thing that probably you cannot control. Bureaucracy is making our life very miserable. You know, there is so many rules, regulations, and if and what, and fine print, that the average person of my age is trying to wish that we were dead instead of living in this atmosphere.
Thank you. Is there anyone on WebEx? One more coming? Okay.
Sorry, I didn't know to sign up.
That's okay.
My name is Corinne Weiss, 1718 Hammocks Avenue, 33549. And yes, I was sworn in. I live in Lakes at Heron Cove, which is directly across the street from Indian Head. So every day I face that intersection that the ladies from the Indian Head were graciously enough to provide slides to show you. It is a major traffic issue. And we, again, our community is not against a daycare center being across. We're not really against the rezoning, but we really need to address the traffic situation. It is extremely dangerous. It's hard for us to get in and out of our complex, even making a right-hand turn. And while there are traffic lights at Lowe's, which is about half a mile from us, and Collier Parkway, there's nothing in between. So what we are requesting is please look at adding a traffic light at that intersection across Indian Head and Heron Cove, because it will help to slow down the traffic. I don't know why people think it's a speedway, but they do. You come around that bend and it looks just like a racetrack. And so they think, oh, I can go 60, 70 miles per hour. So yes, on a daily basis, and I just passed a very bad accident at the Lowe's traffic light, just a few, right down from my intersection. So I had not seen the second proposal from the developer. I was very concerned about fast food restaurants going in. I don't think that's a very good idea behind there. A restaurant possibly, but we're right down from the mall. We have 1 million restaurants now in our area. So again, I think if we could just take a look at adding a traffic light, that might suffice. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else from the audience? Seeing none, anybody else on WebEx?
No one's on WebEx for this item.
Okay, so it's back to the board. Brad, would you like to address some of those topics?
You sounded like you wanted me to answer a question or
I
two.
think it'd be good if you kind of went over the things that the people have brought up.
Well, mainly I just need to again reiterate that this is a rezoning, that what was shown was a concept plan. There is no commitment to that plan. That plan has not been approved. The types of uses on this site are not at all restricted. Anything in C2 could be used on this site if it is able to be designed and meet the approval process based on the land development code. I very much appreciate all of the neighbors coming in. I hope the applicant listened to them. And will incorporate some of those ideas and concepts into their design when they do submit it ultimately for approval if this is rezoned. But this particular hearing, those types of engineering scale questions we cannot answer. We do not have a design. We don't have anything like that, this being a rezoning. This is not an MPUD or a conditional use or a special exception or anything like that where you're approving a specific plan or a specific use. So I don't know that I can answer too many questions in that regard.
Okay, so as far as like when they talk about sidewalks, when they talk about access, when they talk about the trips, the entry as far as right in, right out, that's all going to go through a process through your development.
If this is rezoned to C2 and they do come in with the site plan, they'll need to meet land development code requirements for all of those items.
And we have codes designed to protect all those things.
Yes.
But
Yes.
you really don't take any public comment when that's coming forward.
I'm not sure. I think that a lot of what was discussed was safety-related issues.
Right.
Related to the area, and our county engineer has been very good about identifying those. So if those come up during the review process, she'll make sure that we address them.
Brad, are you still doing site plan notification?
I'm sorry?
Are you still doing site plan notification?
Yes, within 30 days of the final approval of the site plan, notification is sent out to the neighbors. So they would get that notice, and they could come and look at the plans to see what the proposed design is.
And the problem is if it's consistent with code,
If it's
you're
consistent with
required to
code,
approve it.
Required to approve it, yes.
Okay.
So if the board has, if the board is very concerned with the use or some of these other things, in a Euclidean category, the only way to address it would be to continue the matter and have the developer come back with a development agreement. If you wanted to limit uses, if you wanted to limit access points, that sort of thing. But as I started and Brad finished up for me, a straight C2 can be anything from a Chick-fil-A to, any high generation retail. You're not, if you approve this today at C2, you're not guaranteed that this will be a daycare.
Okay.
But before, well, is there any way to know before we make a decision on this, the quality and the shape of Catfish Road, or, I mean, the
Why don't we-
condition,
why don't we
the
bring it up?
condition of that road, the estimated number of trips that, what the applicant is saying, come on, he wants, that's going to add to this road? I mean, looking at it, Google Earthing, it looks like people are using, could potentially use it as a bypass. The more eastern entrance looks a lot safer than the westward entrance, which you got to have your head on a swivel, looking like you're coming in and out of there. So the traffic volume, I am concerned with that, depending on what they're wanting.
I think the people have brought up a lot of good points. You're bringing up a lot of good points there. I think the applicant knows we want to try to help them out as far as coming in, but we need to protect what's out there as well. I think if you're willing to work with us, at the attorney's suggestions, we can probably make it go that way. Does anything that you heard overly objectionable?
No, and I actually want to just clarify a few things that the community brought up. Our intent, safety is our #1 concern. We're going to have children on site, so we don't want to create an unsafe environment. I did misspeak. It will be 180 kids of capacity, and I apologize for that. Just a quick stat, 30% of these kids are dual children homes, so there's not going to be 360 cars or trips a day. People carpool, teachers carpool, things like that. Another clarification, when I said the peak hours are 1 to 3, I meant of the daycare. I don't know what the peak hours of the community are. We will be required to do a traffic study from DOT regarding State Road 54. Another reason to keep in mind is not all cars will exit onto Catfish Lake Road. We do have a proposed right out onto State Road 54, so it's not going to be flooding Catfish Lake Road. And I do believe that a one-way exit off the back would actually clog up more traffic and create more issues and more safety concerns. And as you all mentioned, when we do come in for the site plan approval, we will have to comply with DOT, Environmental Protection Agency, South Florida Stormwater Management District, and any other regulations you all put in place, which we're willing to comply. Our goal is not to create a burden for the residents of the community. We want to bring a use that complements the community, all the growth in the community, not another Chick-fil-A, not a gas station, not a car wash. We want to bring a real use that would benefit everyone here. And we're happy to meet with the neighbors and work with the neighbors to address all their concerns. I've heard concerns about lighting. Obviously, if we build something, we will have lighting out there, which should lighten up the area. I've heard requests for sidewalks and road improvements. We submitted a substandard road review application to the county, which was reviewed and does require us to do some improvements to Catfish Lake Road, which we are willing to do. Generally, sidewalks and roads are a county issue, but we're happy to work to improve those as needed. And really, as I said, we're not trying to make anybody's life more difficult here. I've heard everyone say they are pro-development. We're hopeful that the use that we're providing is something that will benefit everybody here, and we're willing to work with everybody to make it a safe environment.
Commissioner?
Mr. Starkey?
I just wanted to mention, landscaping was brought up. Anytime you have a commercial against residential, there are buffer requirements, so those would all kick in. We already have a dark sky lighting ordinance, so any lighting has to go down and can't spill onto your property. That is a state road. I don't know what the story would be with a light there, but I'm sure our staff will look at it. I think a daycare is a great use here. My only fear is, and I hear you saying it, but I sure don't, I worry about fast food. That's the only thing I worry about coming in there, because it just generates so much traffic.
Understood.
Yeah.
And to your landscaping point, if you look, and I can provide evidence of all the other sites we've built, it will be flush with landscaping. We're going to be bringing trees, hedges, all types of landscaping that will lively up the area. Also, in terms of blocking views, the daycare is a lot like a medical office building with a pitched shingled roof, so it'll block a lot of the noise and visibility from State Road 54 to Catfish Lake Road. It'll be, pitched up high It'll, you won't be able to see the restaurant in front of it or a lot of the cars passing along 54 anymore. So, again, we're happy to work with the county and the city to address any major concerns and see this through.
Any other thoughts?
There's not a school bus stop on that road, is there? No?
And this is not a school, this is a daycare.
Are you going to be having kids transported there from schools at all?
No, you have to you have to park and physically walk your child in, check them in, and leave. There's no buses or group transportation unless they carpool with another child. And also the road, the new proposed road is actually 357 feet away from Indian Head Road.
Okay. Question for you, and we, again, with the zoning, et cetera, we can't bind you for it, but I will ask the attorney to speak to the suggestion yet earlier that he made. Just for the residents, for the back road, are you willing to put like a 10-foot wide path along your property line?
But path, you mean like a sidewalk?
Sidewalk, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so, Mr. County Attorney, would you make that recommendation for us? As far as,
Well, yes, so I think you're,
we had a lot of concerns here, and I think he's willing to meet them, and we can't control what our regulations are, and we can't obviously go through them all now, but if they've got a notice to looking at a site plan, you've got a chance to incorporate all that. I think there's a win-win here, but how would you?
well, so like I said in my conversation with Brad, the site plan notice is they're going to get notice of what the applicant is proposing. If they don't like what the applicant is proposing, at that point, it's too late to do anything about it. If the board has concerns about uses that go on this site, and they want to limit those uses, the recommendation, like in many other Euclidean zoning categories, would be to require a deed restriction that says what the applicant can do with his property. In other words, limiting the number of C2 uses that could be put on this property, or to do a development agreement that would do that same sort of thing. The deed restriction is generally the less expensive way of doing it and less onerous way of doing it.
It's usually faster, cheaper.
Right.
95% of the ones we do are deed restrictions.
Yeah, but that would require this item to be continued to your January 24th meeting.
Are you okay if we continue it to give you a chance to incorporate all that?
My preference would be not to, but if it's a must, then sure.
If we go with it to a vote, there's a risk for you. If you just continue it, I think you get the support to let you give a chance to get the residents, and because there are a lot of concerns that they need to get looked at. I think they're all doable, and I think seem like a smart man that wants to help with the community, a compassionate guy. So I think if I were you, I would let us continue it, give you a chance to take all those concerns into play, work with your own team to put it together, and let us rehear it back in January.
Sure. Yes.
Okay, so you're okay with the continuance?
Yeah.
I'll move approval for continuance to January. What's the date?
Move for continuance to January 24th, 2023 at 1:30 or soon thereafter.
Can I just clarify something? The continuance is for the rezone, or this is for deed restrictions?
It's for the rezone. So you're not getting the rezone until the property is restricted to uses that are more palatable, or that,
My only question is, I don't think
basically
the
what
use
you've
was-
committed to here.
I don't think the use was the issue here, if I'm not mistaken. It was more of a safety issue, which is the site plan.
Which, like a
Sir,
fast
with all
food
due
restaurant is a
respect,
concern.
The use is the issue. The board has made it very clear that they don't want to see fast food restaurants there.
Oh, fast food.
C2 zoning would allow if there's no deed restriction. I don't think anybody's saying they have a concern with the daycare on the site, but C2 zoning allows far more than daycares.
Understood.
Unless there's a deed restriction, you could put Chick-fil-A there. That's the issue.
This way here, you can,
Yeah, I
we put the
understand. That's not our
restrictions in.
intent, but I understand. Sure, we'll agree to a continuance.
okay.
So can I just get clarification from the board? The use part Liam and I can easily figure out how to draft that. Were there anything else that you heard today that you want to see restricted on this site, or are you comfortable relying on the land development code for everything else?
I think if we make sure we put that 10-foot wide path along that back road,
So you want to see a sidewalk on Catfish?
Catfish, yes.
I'm not sure there's
No.
room there for 10 foot.
No?
The applicant is correct that they are required to bring that roadway up to standard, but our substandard road criteria do not require the construction of a sidewalk. So that would have to be an additional
I would
requirement.
I would want to see at least a sidewalk of
Yeah.
6 feet. If it can be 10, great.
I-
And frankly, I wouldn't mind even giving a credit for some of the impact fees to help offset the cost for that if it's not,
But
can't,
I don't know what Catfish Road is, but I would doubt it, based on the condition it's in, I would doubt it would be creditable.
okay.
Probably not, and we'd have to check the right-of-way too, because I don't know how much right-of-way we have for Catfish.
You didn't know that.
All right, so I'd look to see what can fit and see what we can get for some type of, at least a 6-foot wide path on the back.
You're gonna have a deed restriction, you wanna have
Any other things you want to incorporate?
in that deed restriction.
The code's pretty good from there?
It's a good start.
Okay. All right, so I have a motion to continue January 24th.
Yes, District 2.
Have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Commissioner Starkey, if you will allow me to answer her question before I didn't get to jump in here. You were asking about if there was any trails planned along State Road 54. There isn't currently any trails planned along State Road 54 in this area, but I can tell you I did reach out to Tina Russo, who did say that they are planning on looking on that whole corridor for a complete street design and future safety improvements as well.
Good, because,
Okay.
and you heard the residents there, they don't have that opportunity right now.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Moving to item P109, do we have proof?
Yes, Mr. Chair. P109 was published in Tampa Bay Times on October 19th, 2022.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. Tammy Snyder, Planning and Development. We have today Deer Springs MPUD, PDD 237612. Here's our location map. There's a blow-up. You can see the State Road 56 extension. Gall Boulevard is along the west there. Cobblestone MPUD is approved. It is abutting this project to the north. Paul S. Buckman Highway and the city of Zephyr Hills are over on the east. And at the Planning Commission, there was a question brought up regarding the location of the SR 56 extension. And the first snip you have there shows the, this is the SR 56, and then the extension was proposed to go in this alignment. It has since been revised, and there are 3 potential alignments, none of which are currently taking it through the subject site anymore. Here's the subject site, and we have extension going up and down and across, but none of them are taking it through this site anymore. Rezoning request from AC Agricultural and AR Agricultural Residential Zoning Districts to an MPUD, Master Planned Unit Development District, to allow for the development of either a maximum of 115 residential detached dwelling units or a maximum of 100 residential detached dwelling units and up to 5 acres of office uses. Total site area is approximately 38.29 acres. The applicant is also seeking the following variations from the code. Section 901.1H, special design requirements for subdivision collectors which require public type 1A and type 1B roadways. The applicant wants the internal roadways to be private. Section 901.6.D.11, street access to adjoining property requires interconnects between projects. There's currently an east-west right-of-way bisecting the project, which was the former State Road 56 extension. They're going to be keeping that, and they're actually adding some additional right-of-way to it. There's no potential connection to the north,
There are platted lots to the north, east, and southwest, and a rural dirt road to the south, which may possibly have an emergency-only connection. The PDD has reviewed the requested variations and is amenable to allowing both for the reasons stated and as further detailed in your agenda memo. Here's the master plan. You'll see I added a north arrow because north is actually to the left. The subject site is in the East Market area and is being used for agricultural pursuits. No increase in density from the existing Res 3 future land use is proposed. Any office uses may not occupy more than 5 acres of the MPUD and must be consistent with the Res 3 floor area ratio of 0.27 for the actual acreage committed for office uses. The Planning Commission heard the item at the November 3rd, 2022 hearing and unanimously voted to recommend approval with conditions, with the provision that the residential design standards were revised to mirror the standards approved in the Cobblestone MPUD, which I mentioned is approved to the north. LDC Section 402.2.C.8 specifies that variations from the code may be reviewed and approved by the PC and BCC during the public hearing held on any MPUD zoning amendment, and the BCC finds it meets or exceeds the intent of the code. The PDD has reviewed the requested variations and do find that they meet the intent. The proposed request is consistent with the Pasco County LDC Chapter 400, subsection 402.2 zoning amendment and PUD master plan unit development, and with the applicable provisions of the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan. And with that, PDD and the PC recommend approval with conditions. And just to note, the applicant did agree to revising their design standards for the residential portion to match Cobblestone. Questions?
Yes.
Commissioner Sharkey.
And this kind of goes back to the last board meeting when I was trying to understand the connectivity, and it's not really apparent here what the big road picture grid is. So, and I'm kind of a little confused on what you were saying, because you're saying it's not connecting to anything around it? Is that what I heard you say?
No,
Or-
actually, what we have is Crystal Springs runs north and south along it right here, runs up next to Cobblestone MPUD as well.
Where's the Cobblestone? So that,
Cobblestone is this up here.
okay, and how many homes are in there?
Yeah, a bunch. A few hundred.
And where are their ins and outs, if you don't mind showing me?
They have some on 301, whoops, on 301 and Crystal Springs.
I'm trying to see it on your map. It's not able to
301
see
in
it
Chris
there.
Springs, that's on where you turn to go to Chauncey, or?
Okay, I guess my question is, why aren't these why is there not connectivity to the neighborhoods around it?
There is.
Okay, where? Because I'm sorry, I just don't see it.
See here. There we go. Okay, they will be connecting to Crystal Springs up here in the northern part. The road that runs through the middle that used to be SR 56, when something connects to it, there will be connectivity there as well.
So are you saying where that right-of-way or
It's
easement is,
divided.
that's going to be a road?
Eventually, that will be a roadway.
Okay, and
They're
so-
reserving that right-of-way, plus they're adding to it to make it a full 50 feet.
Okay, and can Cobblestone access that road? Anyone in Cobblestone?
They cannot connect, they can through Crystal Springs. If they exit Cobblestone, go down to Crystal Springs South, there's nowhere for this project to connect to Cobblestone directly because Cobblestone is platted. It has platted residential lots and a great big stormwater pond abutting their southern boundary. So there's nowhere for this project to connect directly north to Cobblestone.
So just to say what I said last time, and I'm going to bang a gong here, I just think we should be connecting. If we don't have a grid, you're going to be bottlenecking all these roads.
Unfortunately, that was lost with the Cobblestone approval.
Yeah, so we need to be sure that going forward, everybody's connecting. And you see what's happening on a lot of the roads around the county, and if people have more opportunity to get on a road, instead of everyone having to get on the same road to get to the next neighbor, to the neighborhood or neighbor, we're a lot better off. So I just want to be sure there's multiple, that we're not doing cul-de-sacs, and there's stub-out connections to the east, to the west, because that'll all be
This-
coming
this
in at one
has
time.
That right-of-way that runs right through the middle of it, where SR 56 was going to be. So east and west, if this guy over here that owns this property develops as something other than what he has now, he will be required to connect to that roadway.
So everyone has to get out on the collector arterial. They can't go through any other way to the neighbor, to the property,
Due to
to the left or
existing
the right.
constraints,
What's the constraint to the west of those green boxes?
there is no constraint. That's why they're keeping that existing right-of-way.
But is that going to be a collector arterial, that road going through, one of those two roads?
No.
No?
Well, it
Pitch 6.
may possibly eventually, if it's developed as such, if the parcels around it. But these are all residential.
Well, you know that property's going to come in to the left to be developed. And I'm just saying, we got to stop making these subdivisions where you go in and.
Like I
and
said, when they come in, they will have to connect to that right-of-way. So that will be the east-west connector.
I just think there needs to be a stub out within that green box to the left and in the green box on the bottom, not just to the one road to the, that is between them.
Let's see if I can get my
And it
cursor to
doesn't
show it.
show that here. That's, and maybe this is too early. I don't know. Is this the right place to ask, to make? This is the right
'Cause
place?
you're- yes,
Okay.
'cause you're-
Well, that's
you're
how I'll vote
granting
for
them-
it.
you're granting
If they
them-
connect to the property, they don't have to connect right now, but they have to make preparations to connect to the property to the left.
Sure.
So anyone who wants to go
These
left
are
doesn't have to come on the
platted
collector.
residential lots down here on the southwest corner as well. So maybe around where this State Road 56 extension is depicted, they could put a stub out.
As long as there's one on each block, I'm satisfied.
Okay.
And maybe to the right. I don't know the area, and I don't know how big those lots are.
Those are residential lots there as
In my
well.
district.
So their only option is their northern piece where they are going to be connecting to Crystal Springs.
Okay.
Commissioner Oakley.
The extension of Pitch 6, which I hope happens, that will go right through here. I guess that's that green line I'm seeing, that's the proposed.
That's no longer proposed, that's been realigned.
Okay, it's realigned.
Yes.
But I'm hoping that it's realigned to where it goes through Crystal Springs, on and through Crystal Springs, across Crystal Springs Road, over to 39 and back around toward the airport and Zephyr Hills. If it does that, it'll correct a lot of flooding and drainage problems we have in that area. And I've been talking to Secretary Gwynn about just that. So hopefully they choose that route to go around, and it'll make it better for the community out there.
Okay, what is the variance that you're requesting to not connect? Because
The variation request, which, because of the Crystal Springs running north and south, the platted lots over there, platted lots to the south and the southwest, they were not planning on making any connections to those.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
But we could have them still, there is some space to the west that they could add another connection.
So I'm sorry, that this isn't a good enough map for me to understand where they're asking not to connect. And I'm sorry, I'm not following you, but I want to know specifically what you're asking not to connect to. Maybe, is the applicant
The
showing there?
north, Cobblestone and PUD. They cannot connect to the north because Cobblestone is already platted.
What's
with-
that other piece of property there that's not developed?
Property to the right, to the north and the right.
I think that's where she said the stormwater pond is, if that's next to up here.
Yeah, in the Cobblestone and PUD.
If there's no
where
possibility
you
to connect,
see-
why
where
are
you
they asking for
see
a
the-
variance?
Hi, Brad. In the Cobblestone and PUD, where you see the platted residential lots.
Yeah.
That empty space, oh, come on now. The empty space next to it is their pond, is their stormwater pond. So this project cannot connect to the residential lots or the stormwater
Yeah,
pond.
so we shouldn't have let them put the pond there, in my opinion, but.
The applicant can
All right, well, let's hear from the applicant.
Thank you. Shelley Johnson, 6400 Madison Street, and I have been sworn, just to try to provide a little clarification, because I think there's confusion. So to the north of this property is the existing cobblestone development. There's platted lots where it butts adjacent to this property, and there's stormwater ponds, so there's no place to connect to that northern development. To the east, we have platted existing residential as well, and then Crystal Springs Road. To the west, we do have a connection. I know Tammy was referring to it as the reserved right-of-way for what was to be the State Road 56 extension, which is completely in a different area now. It's not anywhere near this property in terms of what FDOT is looking at. But that reservation to the east and the west are the two stub-outs. That's an actual stub-out. So what will happen, there's a condition in your approval that says that if that western property, Commissioner Starkey, if you look at it on the left-hand side, the western property to this development, if that development ever comes in, they have to work with our development, and our development has, and this is in the conditions, we have to work with them in order to coordinate so that there's a connection between those two developments. Because right now, the way the existing development pattern is around this property, the only place to connect to or step out to is the west. And so that's what and it's in the middle of the property and, in the middle of the development, but that stub out is there and it's reserved, so. You will see it on the plan.
All right, so are these residents going to have access to Springdale Road? I'm sorry, I don't know the area, so there's Springdale Road there?
So we don't have any planned access to Springdale. They may add an emergency access, but that's a dirt road right now. We're doing our connection is out to Crystal Springs, and then we're going to approve Crystal Springs Road from the southern boundary of this development to the southern boundary of Cobblestone, which is north. So we'll link into their improvement that they're doing to that road.
So is Springdale
That'd be a big
Road ever
improvement.
going to be improved? Is there any kind of road vision for this area of that becoming,
Yeah, I know it's a dirt road. There's fairly larger lots on it. It's rural type lots.
I know, but it may not be
Yeah.
in 5 years. So I just don't know why.
This property is just south of Chauncey Road, there in Zephyr Hills.
I just don't like how we're building all these neighborhoods that don't connect to anything. And I think we're going to get ourselves in trouble. That's just where I am with it.
Outside of that, we're happy with, the Planning Commission did recommend that we match our design standards with cobblestones, and so, and those revisions were made, and we're fine with that. But I'm here to answer any other questions.
The stormwater pond, sorry, Mr. Chairman, may I?
Commissioner Wayton, go ahead.
My apologies. real
No,
quick.
thank you, sir.
The stormwater pond, is it being shared by both projects that you have on this map?
No, so Cobblestone actually is a developed platted community. It's an MPD, an older MPD. I think it was amended recently, but all of their infrastructure and stormwater would have already been designed. So, that's all done. Now, what would happen when we get to site engineering? Because obviously the site hasn't been engineered, but when we get to site engineering, whatever the staff requires and, SWIFT as far as stormwater, that's what we'll do now. Whether that's a shared pond, I don't know. I don't know what their approval conditions were, but that's all stuff that definitely, when it gets to the engineering stage at site plan, we'll deal with all that.
Thank you.
But I'm not aware of it right now, so.
Okay, and I can't find it on my map here, sadly, so, I was going to pull up what, you keep saying it's matching to cobblestone. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, so. We have new restrictions that say you have to have so many architectural details.
Mhm.
If it's an older one, cobblestone may not have those.
We do have that requirement in here.
Okay, so what are you matching to cobblestone? I don't know what it
So
is.
what it came down to was a question about the front setbacks at the planning commission. So this is just a standard 50 by 110 is our minimum. There'll probably be 50 by 115 ultimately, but front setback, it identified in the original conditions that it was a 10-foot front setback. I think from back of sidewalk, it didn't really say that, but so the planning commission did a request that we do a revision and do 20-foot. And then 25-foot to garage. So we're going to be 20 foot from back of sidewalk and then 25 foot to garage. So it increased the front setback.
Okay, I agree with that 100%. So when you say back of sidewalk, so it's from the edge of the sidewalk closest to the garage door is 20 feet.
25, so yes, because you'll have five, so you've got, how you have your grass area, you have your sidewalk, Then from 20 foot from the back of sidewalk to front of the building, you'll have your 20 foot. And then from that, it'll be an additional 5 foot to get to the garage. So you have 25 foot to garage, 20 foot
Okay,
to
'cause you-
perimeter.
yeah. Are you
So-
doing single-car garages or double-car garages?
These are double, they're standard 50 by 110 foot lots, yeah. No 40s.
That's a decent size.
Yeah, no 40s.
I'm going to ask a question, Shelley. The limit of not more than 5 acres of office space,
Yeah.
how did that come out? Like, does staff request it?
Unfortunately, I was not part of the original application process on this one, but I think it came in that way.
Okay.
Unless staff's telling me something different, I don't, but it'll be in accordance with the .27, which is the existing land use, so there's not going to be any, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious what brought that?
The land use, the future land use, comprehensive plan limits it to, in a residential 3, res 3.
Okay.
Or,
No, that's good
I
enough.
think any residential land use, a maximum of 5 acres in that future land use without adjusting the future land use may be done.
Okay, all right. Very good. All right, any other questions?
I
Let's
just,
go.
in applications in the future, I just want to see, I'd like more detail on the neighborhood roads and the neighborhood grid that we're establishing. I think
Right.
it's important.
I agree, 100%. So let's go to public comment. Anyone from the public that signed up first?
We have one individual who signed up, Ken Muckenfuse. Is that right?
Right. Yes, my name is Ken Muckenfoos. 2207 Deer Lane, 33540. I'm laughing at Ron here now. Finally, you get one, Ron. I've lived there since
You were,
1980.
since we made a big deal out of it, you were sworn as part of, for the record.
Right. 1988, I moved out there. We helped develop Festival Park, all this area. I know who everybody is that lives there. The corridors that they put out on 56, 2 of them are still active. Number 1 and number 3B. 3B connects to that 40-foot right-of-way that is in their drawing. It's the blue line before the property turns into the L part. The part that goes down to Springdale is a pine forest. It was a planted pine. Springdale is, as they said, it is a substandard dirt road, and they're definitely right. You know, the matter of fact, the county only grades half of it. They stop right where that pine thicket stops. As far as the exit, their only exit is going to be on Crystal Springs Road, which has not seen any improvement since I've been there. They've only cleaned the ditch one time. There's also the Zephyr Hills water from Crystal Springs itself goes down the west side, and the new county water line goes down the east side of the road. So you're not going to expand Crystal Springs Road.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Is it possible that the State Road 56 extension would come down Springdale?
It could possibly, but they're going to take a lot of houses. There is 27 residents that live on Springdale and Deer Lane. That is they don't call them dead ends no more. They call them no exit, or no outlet. There you go. But Springdale goes down, turns to the left, and turns into Deer Lane. That's where I live. The Deer Lane stops at Thomas's property, which is Crystal Springs. All right, behind me now is the development River Run. To the, yeah,
Well,
that.
I just remember when I looked at,
You're taking up his time. Right now.
I'm sorry.
oh, is he not the applicant?
No.
Oh, I
He's a
thought you were the
resident.
owner. Okay, sorry.
And Cobblestone is the old Rook's Dairy.
Okay.
So I know, Ms. Starkey, I know you can look at that, yeah. And there is no connection between Deer Spring and Cobblestone. And Mr. Valentine owns the property where to the west.
Jeff?
No. He's been there longer than I have. That's Lothla-Wren Road.
All right, you want a little more time, sir?
Lothla-Wren
So
Road.
let's let Mr. Soltfuss talk, and then we'll go from there. Go ahead. So continue what you want to say.
I'm sorry, sir.
Continue on to what you want to talk about.
Okay, well, the big thing is I think that, well, nobody really knows till the state decides where they're gonna put 56. But they're putting they're wanting to put 100 and some houses there. And now we're losing our fire department and EMS in Crystal Springs. You know, they're closing it down. So now,
Moving it up to Chauncey Road.
I'm sorry.
They're just moving it up to Chauncey Road. 95% of their calls are at
Yeah.
the area around Chauncey rather than Crystal Springs, thank
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, okay. But the Crystal Springs Road is not gonna be, widened. At least I don't think they can anyhow. But there's not enough, there's already too much saturation of new homes going there. We sure don't need another 111. You know, and the infrastructure, where are they gonna get the water? Where are they gonna put the stormwater? Stormwater now runs down beside Crystal Springs Road. I've seen it completely full, the ditch, going down to the bridge where, the Hillsborough River Bridge. And the water doesn't have anywhere to go. Except into people's property. So I just think it's not a smart move to put that many more houses in an area that's already saturated. Okay, I thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public would like to speak to item 109? Anyone on WebEx for 109?
No one on WebEx for 109.
Okay, it's to the board.
Well, the one question, Shelley, didn't you say that they are going to improve Crystal Springs Road back up to Chauncey?
Yes, it'll be improved. It's substandard, so it's going to be brought up to standard from the southern boundary all the way up to the boundary of, the southern boundary of Cobblestone. So it'll make that connection on that section.
Right.
Yeah.
What type of road is that they're going to improve to, or
The substandard, I don't know what that section shows, but
substandard?
yeah, they'll bring it to
It's
standard,
below
whatever county
substandard
standard is.
now.
Yeah.
It's a pretty bad road, so.
Yeah, no, they're going
Yeah.
to definitely bring it to standard,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, that's, for the board's information, 56 being extended through that area through Crystal Springs will help a lot of the water issues they have. And when they expand, of course, that road and do that work, they're going to be looking at those water lines where they need to move them. So I feel comfortable with that. With that, I'll approve the project.
Okay. I have a second.
I'll second it.
All right.
Commissioner, when I look at the town of Crystal Springs, I see pretty much a gridded road network. And I would ask the county administrator that when we have projects that come, can you just show us what's going on in the area? Where are the schools? I just want to know the routes, and I just want to make sure we're not making the mistakes that I feel we've made in the last 10, 15 years.
Well, so you know, and you do know this, because when Robert Thomas Property and all comes in, they've got the new schools right there.
Yeah, and I recall that's what I was going to say, and I didn't want to take it in his time. I recall when we were looking at Two Rivers, that all the property on the north, where I think at that time, most of the schools were on the north, and I think they may have changed that, but there was no connection to any of the neighborhoods in the north. And I have no idea if this is anywhere near there. And I just want to be sure that all those residents that live to the north of Two Rivers don't have to drive out, get on a collector, come down and get on State Road 56 to get to the high school. They should be able to come through their neighborhoods and not make this big roundabout.
But that's where the school's going to be, on 56.
I can't tell. I have no idea where we are really,
You
and
don't-
where that is.
So
You've
Commissioner,
written
you
down
don't,
56 to 301.
Commissioner, you don't have the Two Rivers plan, but there is a north-south road that goes next to the school site and park site.
Yeah, but there's also a whole bunch of other roads that were stubbing down to the ranch that at that time, we weren't requiring them to connect. And I remember some of them were substandard. But we should be making those connections so that everyone doesn't have to go to one road to get to school. Look at River Ridge High School. It's not a good plan. So I just think there should be multiple ways to go north and south. You live in a neighborhood that has all kinds of connections, and
I think we did a better job with Two Rivers than you think. There are some north-south connections in Two
To the
Rivers.
north?
Yes.
Okay, I don't see
They're
them.
there.
I don't know where they are in relation to this. I'm
Let me
just
put it
asking.
this way, you did a better job in Two Rivers than you did with this one.
I just wish that was a part of the applications. I think I asked that last time, but just be helpful.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, passes. Item number 110.
We get publication, Mr. Chair, on item P110.
Yes.
It was published in the Tampa Bay Times on November 2nd, 2022, November 9th, 2022, November 16th, 2022, and November 23rd, 2022. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Christina Cordone, Assistant Director for the Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources Department. In front of you is a resolution adopting the uniform method of collection for the Gulf Harbors Neighborhood Park MSBU. The Board approved Ordinance 22-07 on February 22nd, 2022, which established the Gulf Harbors Neighborhood Park MSBU. In conjunction with the MSBU, it is proposed that the uniform method of collection be used. This proposed resolution is required per Florida statute and sets forth the need for the levy and includes a legal description and the boundaries of the real property subject to the levy. It also serves as notice to the property owners that future real property tax bills will also contain assessments to be paid. And in this morning's board meeting, it was approved on consent, the agreements between the board and the property appraiser and the board and the tax collector, providing for reimbursement of the necessary administrative costs for the collection of the assessment. This is a map of the MSBU boundary for Gulf Harbors. And the Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources Department recommends that the board hold a public hearing, accept public comment, and approve the resolution adopting the uniform method of collection, authorizing the chairman to execute the resolution and direct board records to distribute.
Okay. Commissioner Starkey, any questions?
Oh, man, let's get this through. We just kind of missed it doing this last year, so this
Correct.
get us on the tax roll. So
Okay.
we're rocking and rolling there, and happy to see this going through. And I am allowed to vote on it because there are so many houses in Gulf Harbors. Did I say that right?
Well, you're allowed to vote on it because this is just putting it on the tax bill. It's not a special private gain or loss.
And I have two
For
lots in there, so I'm
self-taxes.
hitting myself twice.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? All right, this is a public hearing. Anyone from the public?
I have two individuals signed up. We have Ken Dabbs. There you go.
Go ahead and have the second person lined up. Please. I have to be somewhere.
How many
at 5.
signed up? 10?
That's it? No, there's one more. Marie, last name I don't know how to pronounce.
Right there.
Hanf?
That's Hamp.
Hanf, thank you. And that's it for the signing up.
Ken?
Ken Dabbs, 4617 Florimar Terrace, Port Richey, 365, what is it, 34652. Been there 21 years, can't remember my own zip.
Have you been sworn?
I have
You
been
don't-
sworn.
He doesn't have to be sworn
No,
for this one.
okay.
And I take exception to what I just heard. I just heard there's a legal description of this property, this park. There is not. There is a legal description of two pieces of property that ELAMP owns some of, and the neighborhood park will be the rest of it. But nobody can show me a survey saying what will be the park and what is ELAMP. Now, I've sat through these advisory committee meetings that we've been having. Commissioner Starkey was at one. We asked about drainage. Her answer was, well, I don't know what's going on. And Jack, you know about the flooding in there.
Okay, that's not what I
I don't know
said.
what's going on. I'll check with Sammy. That's the last I heard of that. Keith was asked the same question, Keith Wiley, at another committee meeting. Well, I don't know. Kawika Bailey was asked at another meeting. Well, I'm not Public Works, I don't know. So here we are, we're going to be taxed on something. We can't even figure out what it is that we get to call the park. So we're being taxed for a piece of property can't even figure out what it is we're going to be responsible for. We can't use the thing. You got a cyclone fence across the front of it. Keith Wiley's told us we can't go on it. You can't mow it. Kawika Bailey said, yeah, he met with the mowing people. They mowed part of it, but because of the flooding in there, they can't even mow the whole thing. But we borrowed $25,000 against next year's taxes to pay for the mowing on a county-owned piece of property that we can't even use. Are you people serious?
Marie Hanf?
Hi, I'm Marie Hanf. I live at 4909 Glen Drive in Gulf Harbors, and I've been there for almost 50 years, but I'm only 28. Anyway, I've never liked the whole situation with this Gulf Harbors things, but I'm not going into it. It's been going on for years. But my concern today is about our representation in discussing the property, which we owe $600,000 on. The county paid too much for it. They didn't do due diligence, I don't think, in purchasing it, but that's for another day. But there's a group who's supposed to represent us. I don't know who they are. They never can give us any notice. There is never a meeting in Gulf Harbors, which would be nice. It's always held out here at the county building. And we, unfortunately, everything is all hearsay. We're going to get taxed $100 a year. Then it's 7% on what we owe, which would be about $42,000. So we need clarity here. That's what I'm asking you for. Whoever this committee is was not chosen by us. It was chosen by the county. And I just feel like we should have better representation. I'm not sure if we have 1,200 or 1,800 houses, something like that in there. So we're going to be putting over a whole lot of money to give to the county to pay for this, what they call park. I can't even call it that because there's no way I'm walking back there with the snakes. But thanks for hearing me, and hopefully we can find out who this committee is and if they can represent us properly.
Thank you. There's someone here from the Parks Department, correct? Oh, it's you. Okay. Come on.
So Commissioners, I can let you know that the next Gulf Harbors Advisory Meeting is on January 10th in this boardroom. It is also, the Gulf Harbors Neighborhood Advisory Group has a website page, and Kavika Bailey, with which Mr. Ken did reference, is working with the Civic Association to ensure that that website that has information and minutes from the meetings is also posted on that neighborhood group, so they can get more information.
And how often do they meet?
They meet typically every 2 or 3 weeks.
Twice a month? And the public's invited?
Yes.
On the drainage, our engineering department is working on that drainage permit to pump on the east side, where we had some work done before, so that project is going through. The property is wet, which is why we want to have that pump, and the boundaries have not been set yet, but they will be set eventually. That's part of the task force. And board members, 50% of this property was purchased by ELAMP, and 50% of the property is being purchased by the community who voted in favor to purchase it. It was a great deal. And we're very excited to have a park, because we don't have any place like that in our community. It's been vacant for decade, I don't know, 10, 15 years. It's an old golf course. So I know Barbara wanted to come and speak, but I think we went long today, so she's not here. But the community is very excited about the park, and it's going to take a little while to get all the amenities we want in there, because we are self-funding it, and we missed the opportunity to put this MSTU on the tax roll last year because we missed a date or something. So we're 1 year behind in starting to collect the fees. Is it $300 a house, $600 a house?
So the advisory committee is still finalizing that estimate. We will bring back
No,
to
we
the
know
board.
what our purchase
Mr. Chairman,
price is.
if I may.
Yeah.
What is before you today is putting this on the tax rolls. What is not before you today is what the assessment will
Right.
be. That will be a public hearing.
But we
that will occur.
we know how much we paid for it.
That will be a public hearing that will occur sometime in August, September.
But we know that each house owes a portion of that $600,000. It's divided by X amount of houses, so, yeah, it's far less than what a park park impact fee would be per house today, far less, so. I would make the motion to approve.
Second. And just a little further discussion. I would like to see the property descriptions of both parcels. I think that should have been done when we bought it under ELAMP anyway, if we use those funds already, but I think it's a very reasonable request to get that quickly.
And the legal description that is referenced is the legal description of the MSBU, not of the park.
No, I understand.
Just,
But it's a legit question. I think we should get that. And as far as the drainage out there, let's go look for the solutions. If a pump is the way it needs to be,
There's one in the works,
okay.
a
But
pump on the east side.
if a pipe works too to help, then we should be
Well,
looking at that too.
it's a pipe through an easement onto head sail.
Okay. Could it be gravity fed possibly, or are they looking at that?
I'm not an engineer.
All right,
I don't know what they're doing.
so they are studying that, and that's good,
Yes,
because
we are-
I do want to see that get done
Yeah.
as well. Okay, very good.
We do too.
Oh,
Otherwise, it's a wet park.
Exactly, we need to fix it. We make it as good as we can so the people can use it as done. I really don't think the residents, as we're going through this process, especially if it's going to take much longer to have to, well, the quicker we can get it done, the better. Any other questions, comments? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
I can't vote on this one.
All right, P111, do we have proof?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Item P111 was published in Tampa Bay Times on November 2nd, 2022.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Is called Public Works.
This is the agenda item for our CEDA PW 230037, PVAS number 3510. There are 7 streets which are county maintained and paved. The total estimated cost for the project is approximately $1.34 million. In terms of the maximum cost per ERU, that's $11,097.56. The discounted amount is $204,285.37. The maximum cost per ERU after the discount is $8,573.17. There are 123 possible votes. We got a response from 60 property owners. 43 of those were in favor of the project, and that's about 72%, and 17 were against the project, and that's 28%. Annual installments over a 10-year period, and the interest rate is at 3.25%. The location map and a couple photographs of the condition of the road. Staff is recommending approve.
Mr. Starkey?
Well, you can see our road's in pretty bad shape. We had Mike come in just before he left us and save the road for a few more years with those squiggly things, but, which everybody hates. And hey, the cul-de-sac at the end is falling apart again. But this is our second time going through, and you can see how supportive everybody was, so I hope you will vote in favor of this, and that it's not too far in the distant future that this road can get fixed.
Okay. Angie, this might be your last one, huh?
In terms of this
Yes.
type of presentation, well,
Yeah.
there's a tax roll.
Oh, no, we'll have other work, no question. All right, any other questions for Ansley? All right, public hearing, anyone here from the public want to speak to this item?
I have 2 individuals signed up for item P111. We have Thomas Archibald, and followed by Michael Cox.
Thank you. Thomas Archibald, 10900 Soteria Court, Newport Richey, 34655. Why the residents of the community did vote to go ahead with the road paving project, I believe it was based on some information that may not have been accurate. At several of the board meetings in our Aristida community prior to the vote, the community president relayed certain conversations that he had with Commissioner Starkey, that if we went ahead with the road project, we would not be under the old, where the individual community paid the assessment, but we would be under the new, where the county factored it into the, whatever you call it, I apologize, the new program, the MTSU.
MSTU.
Thank you. So I think he also represented that Ms. Starkey advised us to go ahead and file the application anyway, so that we would be further ahead in the pipeline of projects that would get done in the community. It seems to me that now we're going to have the distinction of being the last community that actually gets to pay for its own road project, and it was based on representations that may not have not been accurate. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, we don't have to go through all that again. Okay.
And as Commissioner Cox comes up here, I want to apologize. He did write down and sign in for the prior item at P100. I missed it. Thank you.
I'm easily overlooked, let me tell you.
No,
It's been a problem my whole
apologize
damn
for
life.
that.
Michael Cox, 10831 Panicum Court. When Abby and I decided to build a home, we had certain requirements for that home. Number one, it had to have a roof on it. Number two, it had to have an air conditioning. It also had to have hot water, and it had to be on a paved road. Now, 22 years later, I've replaced the roof, I've replaced the air conditioner, and I've replaced the hot water heater twice. It's time now to replace the road, because the road is deplorable and it just needs to be replaced. The PVAS passed overwhelmingly. We have been working with the county staff for a while to find a solution to some drainage issues that we have, right? We have some pretty significant problems, and we believe that the fix is going to be a combination of help from the county, the HOA, and individual homeowners. And I am the HOA president. And I will tell you that the previous gentleman, his concerns is, I'm not exactly sure what his concerns is, but I put out in writing to the community that we wanted the community to support it because the roads need to be paved. But we were hoping to be able to fall under the new MSTU if it works out that way. But the bottom line is the roads need to be paved. And from what I heard from P100 today, it sounds like we will be falling under that new MSTU. And so that's my other item, is I would like to ask that, you know, our notice to proceed be issued after the MSTU goes into place. And to Commissioner Oakley's question earlier, comments earlier, we're okay with waiting till that happens. So the roads need to be paved, and I would ask that you support the PVAS. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And it's never a good place to be between you and the end of your agenda. So I apologize.
Don't leave. Yeah. I just want to correct the record for something. We can never predict what's going to happen up here, but many people know, it's been in the paper, that we have been in talks to change the PVAS to the MSTU. So what we discussed, and Ainsley was there, and we discussed it with the group, is that if, you know, we're hoping that we switch to the MSTU, and that we don't know where Aristida is going to fall in from the old PVAS or to the new MSTU. And, but if we were in the old system of PVAS, we wouldn't be double charged. But if we, so that, I can't guarantee to anybody what the future is. So I think I was misrepresented, but I just wanted to let you.
That was clearly communicated at
thought so,
HOA
too.
meetings, in writing, at the annual meeting. It was clearly communicated.
Yeah, so,
Thank
I
you,
mean, I'm
Commissioner.
not even sure, I still know 100% where we're going to be, but thank you very much. Is there a motion?
You can make it in a moment. Let me just add a discussion too. We've talked about this for a long time, about doing it this way, and there's nothing that hasn't been said openly as far as this may fall into if it comes into the new assessment, I mean, the new MSTU as well. So don't feel anything. The microphones and tapes are out there to show what we've done, even up here at the meeting. So I wouldn't worry about that part.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to make a motion.
I don't think I can. I
Oh,
have
she
to
can, okay.
abstain.
You can abstain?
Mr.
Okay.
Chair, I'll make the motion. I'll support the motion. For clarity, for folks.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner. So folks who are currently in the PVOS and they're paying their 3.25% interest rate, when we going forward next public hearing, if we set a rate, from my understanding, folks will be paying off their current PVAS amount, and they'll receive an MSTU on their tax roll.
It's going to be decided.
Or they, like, for example, this project passes, it's a PVOS, goes through, will the folks in this community be paying the 3.25%, and will they also be being hit with the MSTU on top of it?
Commissioner, if I can weigh in on that.
Just for clarity.
Yeah, for clarity's sake, the board direction for coming back in March is to come back with a plan on how we unwind PVAS. And the intent of that is to make sure that folks aren't double charged. So how do we retire the PVAS debt and transfer over to the MSTU? So we're still working those details out, but that is the intention. Branford, I don't know if you have any more details to add.
And this board's going to make that decision. This board's going to listen to the public before we make that decision. So all the input for all the things, whether it be dirt roads, drainage, or just timing of a previous assessment, all of it's going to get factored in. And we will, as a board, make the decision how we will go forward with it.
Okay. My concern was just folks who are currently in the old system and we transition to the new way are hit twice. Anyway, so I moved.
You made the motion, we get a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. And that's all I have for the
And hopefully that's the last one of those.
public hearing agenda. However, We have the
Consent
consent agenda items we pulled.
Oh, Lord. I got an Orange Belt Trail meeting okay, let's go fast.
All right, so first item, C24. Commissioner Waitman.
That's mine, thank you. So I pulled C-24 for Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council. Our dues are $186,285. That's a $10,000 plus increase from last year to this year. And so my reason for pulling it is we're paying $186,000 a year. I'd like to have the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council come make a visit to this board annually, biannually, and
He does.
give us updates on what they're doing.
And they're going to be coming to us very shortly, maybe the next meeting over here, coming forward. They're going to talk about what they've done for us, et cetera, as well as the upcoming Resiliency Summit. So he will be coming forward to do that. And I think he's got some pretty good things to talk about.
Good deal. And with that, I move approval on the item.
Second.
Second, under discussion, just so you know, that's based on population. That's why it's a formula. I don't remember what the multiplier is, but it, 23 cents. Yeah, it's a formula.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, going to go to C34, Andrew Baxter.
Good morning, Board, or good, it's usually morning when I talk to you guys. Sorry.
This is a first.
It normally would be.
Good late afternoon to y'all. Andrew Baxter, Facilities Management Director. This is, we neglected to attach Exhibit A to this agenda item. It has now been attached and distributed, and with that, we still
Move to
recommend
accept,
approval.
approve C34. Move to approve C34.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Brent Wall, C43.
That's a big number.
Good afternoon. Brent Wall, Fleet Management Director. The original item showed a previous spend authorization increase of $50,000 in FY22 instead of FY23. The follow-on document corrects that change with no adjustment needed to the overall life of the contract.
Move to approve
Second.
C43.
The motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. C59. Madam Clerk.
That's me. We did not receive the original document on this item until today, so I ask that you approve it contingent upon clerk review.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
And C61, I'm going to just make a statement of this, but I will support it. We've talked about Ridge Road in the past, eventually getting out 275. I love the way this overpass road is going to work its way out as well, so part of this agreement. I'll have Carl from the MPO bring it up at the MPO, but I just want to highlight that. So I'm very happy with this, and I like to see it go forward, so I entertain a motion.
I'll move approval.
Okay, but I have a question. So does this go up past the school complex? Because I drove that road the other day, and they did not put in their multi-use path in front of the school or the college campus. So hopefully, as we're widening this, they're put on notice that they got to build their part too, which I talked to Mr. Gadd about, and he said, just let them know, but they didn't put in their part because they said there was nothing to connect it to at the time. With that, I'll make a motion to approve 61.
Okay, have a motion?
Second.
Have a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, and C62, Margaret Smith. Margaret, you've changed.
Margaret. Good afternoon. I'm Panos Conces, Assistant Engineering Services Director. This item was pulled and revised because to correct the contract amount in the change order agreement. So we circulated the new change order.
Move to approve C62.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And C69, Venkat. There he is.
Venkat Vadikudi, Traffic Operations Manager with Engineering Services Department. This item is pulled to, for Scrivener Serra to add the 3-year contract for $5 million a year with $15 million with the transportation traffic control products to build the signals as needed basis.
Okay. Timely.
Yeah, hopefully they have supplies in hand. That's been a problem.
Approval.
Move to approve
Got a move?
C69.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 And Venkat, maybe that Catfish Lane project we just looked at might be one to go take a look at.
It's the FDOT.
FDOT, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
same with Indian Lakes, yeah. So that's-
And C79, Commissioner Waitman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. C79. So doing a little research on this particular item, just wanted to highlight this. We learned that there's $1 million that's been allocated from CDBG funds for sidewalks for a school system. So that was a hot topic over the last year, and I think Commissioner Bradford be excited to support that. I know we have some sidewalk funding out there, but just wanted to, Mrs. Crumley isn't here, but was excited to see that, and I think you'll be excited where it's going, Mr. Chairman.
I see
So
Marcy's here. I'm very excited to see this project.
with that, move approval on this item.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Margaret, I'm going to be bringing up something. if you
All right,
wanna
last
stay.
one. Marcy, come on up. C80.
If you want, I don't know, it doesn't matter.
I think I'm used to being last and least.
You're definitely not
Last
least.
but not
You're
least, I will
there
say.
you go.
Marcy Esberg, Director of Community Development. So item 80, we neglected to put 2 attachments into the agenda memo. So we're asking the Chairman, Mariano, to sign 2 documents for this item. And that would be the revitalization form as well as the local government preference form.
Move to have Commissioner Mariano sign the forms.
Do we have a second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And I do love that project, too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great stuff.
Okay, so that's all we have for the consent agenda. Now we go to committee reports. So Commissioner Oakley?
Oh, just one thing, I've been watching because of the ice rink over in, being built, or it has been built over in the residential area. I was of the understanding that the gentleman had not received his traffic study or what he had to do to be able to open up. And in fact, he or his consultant has been notified within the last 2 years and knows what he needs to do, but hasn't started that process. So I'm looking forward to that being open when it is, but he's got to do things to finish it for his traffic in that area. So,
Thank you, sir.
okay? That's all I have.
Okay. Commissioner Waitman?
Thank you. I'd like 3 appointments today.
Boom.
Knock those out. For the VOPH, Paul Fenora. From Planning Commission, for right now, Mr. Peter Hansel. And for the status on the Commission of Women, Ms. Jenny Yingling. And I'd like to thank everybody, staff, and the new board for welcoming us over the last 2 weeks, and great ceremony in Dade City, and warm welcome and excited to be here.
Is he on the planning commission? You're talking about the planning commission, or are you talking about VOPH?
There's 3. Paul for the VOPH.
Peter's already on there, it's a
VOPH, 'cause
reappointment.
it's different than our planning
Yeah,
commission.
Peter Hansel's currently serving on the planning commission.
Oh, he
So
is,
that's him
right.
For right now, for him to stay, and then Jenny Yingling to be reappointed to the Commission on the Status of Women.
Okay.
So thank you all, and then I'd be remiss. if
I'll
I-
second that motion.
Do we have?
Motion is second?
Yes, yeah.
Yep.
Get to vote.
Second is motion. Motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay.
Thank you. And then also like to join Mr. Carballa and Mr. Steinsider in singing happy birthday to Commissioner Bradford.
Oh, Lord.
I'm not singing. I'm going to spare
I
you.
can't wait for this. We'll table that.
You can have at it.
I want to
I
hear
have-
this,
I
actually.
have one item I forgot.
Okay.
I left out one item, and it's very, very important to me, and I know it's important to this board. It is great to sit here as part of Pasco County and a part of the Pasco County Board, serving with staff that, like we have, that make up many, many teams that go out and represent this county and do it so very, very well that they're recognized all over because of their good doings. And I just want to say thank you to all our staff for all they do in that. So it's just, it means a lot when you've got staff that goes out and does the work they do that represents our county, which we all very much love. So I just want to make that statement. Okay, thank you.
One more
Commissioner Whitten,
comment.
yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
No worries, no
So
worries.
the sidewalk project, the schools that are looking at receiving those funds for sidewalks are Hudson and 5A.
All right.
So, good news there.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. Commissioner Bradford?
No, you skipped me.
Oh, that's right, sorry. I'm not used to this angle.
I had nothing to do with it.
I have some photos, if you could put those up. But while they're loading those up, I wanted to share with you that I was honored to be appointed to the NACO Board of Directors. And I just got the email here just a little while ago that I had heard it was a rumor, but it is in fact true. So that's
Congratulations.
thank you. I'm one of 3 commissioners in the state. As long as we're a 100% state, if someone drops out, then we're 2, and one of us loses our position. But it does require a little bit of traveling. There's 4 or 5 meetings a year, but 2 of them are ones I already attend, the Ledge Conference and the annual conference. So, but we get a lot done, and I'm excited about it. I wanted to go over these, but it's too long a day, so I'm not going to. But these are some of the policies that we're looking at FAC. I'm going to get you some more, but these are some very important proposals that we'll go over at the next meeting. And then lastly,
If I could, before you go further?
no, that's not the map I want, but
I do want you to know, I wrote you a letter of recommendation for the position.
Oh, thank
You've done
you.
a great job with FAC. NACO, you're very well respected there. I mean, doing a great job on it, so I know you're a very productive member, so.
thank you. My husband thinks I'm nuts, and but so you got to learn to say no. But I'll try it for a little bit. So this is our standard road, and along State Road 52, as the state has widened it, we've added a multi-use path on the north side. And I was driving home from the Dade City meeting and went down Prospect onto Clinton Avenue Extension. Is this the only map? Okay. And I just was really dismayed to see that we did not continue the multi-use trail. The multi-use trail stops at Curly. We have a very popular, important trail going down 301. I call it the 301 Trail. I was there at the ribbon cutting years ago. It connects Dade City to Zephyr Hills and eventually to Hillsborough County and Polk County. And that we did not continue this multi-use trail from Curly to 301 is a big miss. And I don't know how we fix it, but I'd like to find a way to fix it, which is going to cost us money. We're going to have to work with the landowners to the north, but this just brings to light that we're not all firing on the same cylinders. We're not all on the same page, that someone made a decision to stop it at Curly. And I've talked to Mr. Cabala and other people about it, but that's a really expensive mistake. So, very disappointed. Thank you. I have a lot of other stuff. I'm going to do it next week.
All right.
We have the Orange Belt Trail public meeting at Starkey Cultural Center going on, and I want to be there for the presentation.
Okay. Commissioner Bradford?
I will be brief.
I will not be at the TMA meeting.
Put another plug in for tomorrow.
Wait, I want to back up for 1 second. Commissioner Fitzpatrick was on the TMA. We need to reappoint someone in her place to the TMA. That's a Transportation Alliance. Do we call it something different now?
Commissioner Starkey, that appointment should be made by the MPO,
Oh, okay, we'll talk about
not the
that.
board.
All right, thank you.
However, there is a meeting coming up Friday,
There's
so
a
we
meeting
can have
Friday.
anyone show up as an alternate. So
Yeah.
Well, I'm
since
just saying there's city representatives that could be on the TMA as well, so, and they're not here.
True, but The meeting's coming up is on Friday. If she
Yeah.
can't be here and the others want to participate, which I was going to talk about under my committee reports, under my appointments anyway. It's worthy for, anyone can go representing this council anyway to that council. So go ahead, continue on with what you're going to say about the TMA.
Well, it's just very important. We meet with the commissioners from Hillsborough and Pinellas and cities, all in the circle with DOT, and talk about regional transportation issues. And as T-BARTA's changing, and we'll talk about that also, what the plan is for that. It's just an important place to discuss and prioritize regional transportation projects.
It's where three commissioners from Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas all go to get together and talk about things.
And if we only have one or two, and there's a vote, it's happened, we have to claw our way back up to get 54 and 41 on the regional list of importance. So it's really good if we had more.
Well, I think if you had a commissioner that was willing to attend from this group, you could probably just get the MPO to ratify that selection at the next MPO meeting. But you would need one of these board members to.
And if you want more information, we can have staff give it to you so you know what your commitment is. Are you doing committee appointments today?
I'm not going to do them today, but that was going to be part of my questions I was going to ask about, so I was going to get to that. But before we go there, I'll bring Carl up and we'll talk about it too. Not just yet, but Commissioner Bradford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to talk about the planning, Pasco County Planning Commission. First of all, I'd like to thank Don Anderson for his service. As you know, a commissioner can appoint concurrent with their term. I'd like to appoint Derek Poncelet as my choice for the Planning Commission. Derek's got a wealth of knowledge and experience spanning 2 decades in finance, lending, insurance, healthcare, real estate, and will bring a fresh perspective to the commission. His years of involvement with local charity and civic organizations is testament to his commitment to the success of Pasco County, and I believe he will be a great asset, and I would ask for your favorable support on that.
Second.
Great choice. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is this the part where I ask about one-time fix for Purdue Street?
Oh, my gosh. He's doing it already.
Wasting time. Can I ask?
Mr. Chair.
First of all, we need to hire a
Didn't we just do something in Moon Lake?
Before we leave the planning commission appointment, there's a planning commission meeting this Thursday. I'm not sure he's going to be prepared to.
So what
Can
that
we
was,
make that effective for the following planning
What?
commission meeting?
what I was told, yes.
Okay,
To answer your question, yes.
okay, thank you.
So, I'd like to also thank everybody for making me feel welcome. There's a lot to learn, especially Mike and Joanna, if you've tolerated my incessant phone calls, and thank you for teaching me what an ACA is. I thought that was pretty good. Met with all the ACAs. I've tried to meet as many people as I can, and I'm looking forward to it. It's exciting. And we will work hard as we can every day to get up to speed. And the only other thing I have is I really think we need to hire a doctor for the county commission, because I just spent $15 million, and that's the most money I ever spent in my life. I'm having chest pains.
You spent a lot more than that today.
But I sold $15 million, so.
You do have to count the zeros.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But anyway, it was a very exciting time. So let me ask for some money. I only want $6,500. So Purdue Street's an unpaved dirt road in Moon Lake Estates. The road is substandard, publicly dedicated, not county maintained, and has been determined impassable by fire rescue. I would like to make a motion for a one-time fix of Purdue Street. The estimated cost is $6,500.
We have a motion and a second.
Is that a road we can legally?
It is.
He said it was publicly dedicated. Those are the magic words for me.
Publicly dedicated, not county maintained.
Okay, and it's never been fixed before by us?
That I don't know.
Is that
All I
negates
know-
a one-time fix?
How it needs it, though.
This is worth fixing in my
Oh, there's lots of these.
daily life. In my daily
Those are
life,
my district.
in servicing essential service, solid waste. Typically, if a fire truck or an EMS, first responder vehicle can't down there, folks can't get garbage service. And obviously, we know, we have cleanup events in Moon Lake, and we do everything we can to help keep it clean. So knowing these roads like I do, and knowing the cleanup efforts that are constantly going on there, I support this.
While the standard is called a one-time fix, if a fire truck can't get down it, you need to fix it.
Yeah, no, I'll
So-
go for it. I mean, there's,
I'm the new guy on the block,
Yeah.
and she's gonna give me a hard time.
I am. I'm gonna watch the money. Remember that?
65.
All right, let's go.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank
Unanimously passed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right, that's all we have? All you have? Okay. Madam Clerk?
Do you want to do Mr. Kabala first? Or
Go
you
either
do
way.
me? I'm like, he
Okay.
looks like he's chomping.
All right, Mr. Carbella.
Actually, I'll be brief in the interest of time here. On October 11th, the board executed a derelict vessel grant agreement for $56,000 to remove 2 boats from Pasco County waters. Due to Hurricane Ian and some delays with our vendor, we need to extend that agreement. Otherwise, we risk losing the money. So I'm asking the board to authorize myself to execute that amendment for a 30-day extension
So moved.
upon review and approval by the CAO.
Have a motion?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All set. Anything else, sir? No. Madam Clerk?
Thank you. Commissioner Starkey, just a quick question. This was handed out, was this from you? Do we want to include it in anything?
No, I'm gonna bring it up. You can either save it or toss it, and I'll give you another one next board meeting, but
Okay.
it's too long to
All
start
right.
going into these.
Then I'll leave it for you to bring it back.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other thing I just wanted to say was congratulations to Commissioner Bradford and Commissioner Waitman. I'm very excited that you're on the board, and I get to continue to work with you, and I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to continue working with the other board members. I think we work very well together, and I'm excited you're here, so welcome, and I'm sorry I missed your swearing in. I actually did watch it. I know, I'm one of those crazy people. I watched it. I very much enjoyed it. I liked seeing your families up there. I know it means a lot, and to be surrounded by your family and your friends in the audience, but just know I was watching from afar.
Thank you.
But congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. County
Thank you.
Attorney?
I don't have anything for you, thank you.
Okay. All right, I just have 2 things I want to talk about. One is real quick. We talked about the Tampa Way.
One is quick.
Well, this is pretty quick, but it's important, and especially with Commissioner Waitman brought up about Tampa Bay Planning Regional Council. They also have the estuary program, and I attend it when I can. When I can't, Colleen Weaver, my assistant, attends it. You heard me talk about baffle boxes a few times. We talked about Part 2 money, trying to get it when we can. The state pretty much controlled it. And I'll say by our participation and working with it really closely, the Tampa Bay Estuary Program and Regional Planning Council put a joint application in for $9.5 million for baffle boxes.
Nice.
Which will help with a lot of water quality up and down the whole coast. So that's one good thing we're getting back from that, and that's by being that committee moving forward and being active with it. Having said that, the next thing I wanted to talk about really quickly is on Friday, we do have the TMA meeting. A couple of things for our 2 new commissioners is Moffett is very excited about trying to make that rail line coming up to CSX. Very, very critical. And I think, Angeline, Moffett, et cetera, everything coming up in there is something that I think the resident commissioners should be pushing real hard. I pushed for it, as Commissioner Stark will tell you, from the get-go. We had Bob O'Malley from CSX give us a presentation, show us all we could do. They've all gone back from it. But I think, as the resident commissioner, I think you should really go to that. On another note, we've got that express rapid bus coming from Wesley Chapel running through, which we're trying to do, the bus rapid transit, supported by all over Tampa Bay. Everybody, maybe things change in Hillsborough now with the new election. The other councilman from Newport Richey sits on there as well, And I think you two guys would be a great addition to that. And if you'd be willing to go for Friday, I think it'd be a great move going forward, yeah. So I don't know, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that as, I don't make it the appointment for that, the MPO makes that. And you have to ask for to go, but knowing that this meeting's coming up Friday, we don't have time for an MPO meeting. If you guys think you'd go, I wouldn't go, and
Where is it? Is it at DOT?
I'm not sure.
Commissioner Mariano, CSX came and made a presentation to T-BARTA, and you can get that on YouTube, and it's very interesting, so I
Okay.
recommend everyone go watch it.
Okay, we shall watch that anyway.
Yeah.
So do you think you gentlemen want to go? If you don't answer now, don't answer, but I just want to throw it there. Okay.
Look at the calendar.
Just email me, let me know, just so if I know you're going or not, either way. I don't have to answer now. On another note,
You know, excuse me, Commissioner Overman and I were co-chairs, and neither one of us are going to be there Friday, so someone's going to have to chair it. I don't know who that is.
well,
So step in there, Jack.
oh, believe me, if it's, I just don't want four of us showing either.
Yeah.
So however it may be, we'll make sure it's covered. On my appointments, there's a list of them all. I think everybody's got a list. If you put your priorities down, put them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however you want to do it. And if you want to make a special note to me as far as why you like this one better, why you think it's best for that too, I'll incorporate that too with my decision making. I'll have those ready for the next meeting we have. Are there any appointments I have to make today that we know of?
No, I don't think
Before
so,
the
sir.
January meeting? Okay.
Probably have one
All right, we'll keep everything the same until the next meeting comes up then. All right, and that's all we have, so we're adjourned.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you all, and congratulations.
Hope to see you before.
So we just have that.